This is it. The lights are off on the pace car. Fans on their feet under the lights at Bristol Motor Speedway, an elimination race. Who will be the four that get their playoff hopes dashed? Pace car off the track. Field in the hands of the 20 of Christopher Bell. He gets into the gas. We're racing at Bristol. Denny Hamlin wasn't ready for that one. He got jumped by Michael McDowell in the 34 to second.
That's something to watch all night, Rick. That inside lane, it's very hard to get forward momentum down there.
You can see that they're not quite ready to trust that treatment. Once they hear Denny Hamlin's making good time down there, though, I think the 20 goes to the bottom of the racetrack. Several cars still trying to be patient about running that bottom groove, just how dry it is.
Brad Keselowski going through 3 and 4. He got a little bit too low and shot up the racetrack. That allowed the 24 of William Byron to get by him. And now the 54 of Ty Gibbs also is going to try to take the spot away.
Yeah, we're going to find out what this second groove is like, because Brad Keselowski being stuck up there, you can see him lined up underneath him. He just does not have the grip that the bottom has.
He's going to have to try to get right down here in front of Corey LaJoie. He's going to be able to do that. But Chase Elliott behind him, still losing spots around the top of the racetrack. It's not going to be the fast way around till later in the race. Right now, with that treatment on the bottom that was retreated overnight, it has really good grip. And the more they run on it, the tackier it gets, the faster it gets.
But also, the more guys get stuck on the outside, the more rubber gets up there, and that is what makes that second line come in. You don't want to be the guy up there, as you can see Chase Elliott falling back to the field. You don't want to be that guy up there putting the rubber down. But ultimately, that's what's going to make it work.
Two Joe Gibbs Racing Toyotas are looking very strong up front here at Bristol. Christopher Bell and Denny Hamlin starting to pull away from Michael McDowell.
Chase Elliott was finally able to get back in line, back in the field. But yeah, those two Toyotas have made some good time here over McDowell. And now if you're Denny Hamlin, you can just settle in. You know you got a fast race car. You don't have to, drive up there and try to pass this 20. Sit here, ride some laps, get some feedback on this car to your team. It's going to be a little bit difficult with everybody pinned to the bottom aerodynamically to really get up there and challenge the leader. The leader's got great clean air. Don't really push your car and create any kind of a tight issue. Your car's going to build tight, build loose. You don't want to exaggerate that by overdriving it.
Steve, I think one of the biggest things with this racetrack also is knowing how much it's going to change. What do you need to hear from your driver right now, early in the race? What kind of information do you need so you can make sure his car is good late?
Well, what I want the driver to do is just tell me what he has. I already have a plan. I've watched all the races. I've seen how the grooves moved up. And I have my notes from last year when the groove moved up, how the balance changed. Jeff, I think it's a law. I mean, look at this. It's described as what? Fighter jets in a Super Bowl, and that's what it looks like. 4 seconds on each straightaway. The driver doesn't have a lot of time to process. Just kind of give me the brain dump. Key the button and complain. Tell me everything it's doing.
The 24 of Byron got up the racetrack, almost lost the spot to the 54 of Gibbs, but he's able to get back down in front. Regroup, drive away. That car looked a little bit loose on entry. That's a typical balance issue at this racetrack, is being free into the corner.
Well, 12 laps in, now 13 complete, and already race leader Christopher Bell, he is closing in. He's within a straight of B.J. McLeod to put him a lap down.
Denny up the racetrack just a little bit, diamonding in the center of the corner. See that yellow line right around the bottom of the racetrack? It's a painted yellow line that's differentiating between the racetrack and the apron. When the treatment gets on that yellow line, it is very grippy, much more grippier than the concrete surface that's treated. If you can be patient around the corner and keep that left front tire on that painted yellow strip, there's way more turn in the front of the car. Just takes a lot of patience to slow the car down to keep the left front that low.
How about the top two already separating themselves by 2 seconds over third place Michael McDowell?
Michael's struggling a little bit. And right on his tail is the 24 car of Byron, but Byron's going to have a hard time getting around the 34 aerodynamically. He just struggles when he gets close, and you can see how much the 34 can drive away. Byron will run him back down to about a half a car length and then struggle again with aero and drop back. What you got, Dylan?
So, Junior, Michael just came on the radio and said, this thing has no ride quality.
quality. So I'm interested to know what makes a car ride well around this racetrack and maybe how you fix that later on.
Well, yeah, that's hard to change, right? You would think that's something he would have felt in practice, but ride quality is a big combination of the entire setup. But they've obviously made some changes because he feels it's riding worse, Junior, than it must have yesterday. He knows what it felt like in practice. He's letting the team know it feels worse.
Yeah, and anyone knows the difference between driving down an interstate that's concrete versus an asphalt interstate. Those concrete interstates much more bumpier, a lot of joints and joists in the concrete. And that's the way this racetrack is. The tires dribble around this racetrack. I don't think they ever are fully, in contact with the surface of the track. It sort of dribbles around here as you got a battle for the lead heating up.
Yeah, you see Denny Hamlin, he is trying something different. Christopher Bell has caught the back of the pack. This always happens. You get there quickly. He is trying to get by the 99 car, isn't being able to do it. So Hamlin said, okay, I'm not going to ride behind you. I'm going to jump on the outside in the second lane to see if I can make that work. Now, that forced Bell to try the middle lane. He gets a little bit of momentum on the 99, not enough. There he goes, good exit speed. But that is what we're going to see all night long, changing lanes, trying to make something happen, Dave.
And Jeff, it's one of the things that Christopher Bell is good at as we look at Denny continue to try to run him down. Christopher Bell grew up on short tracks, half miles, just like this, except they were made of dirt. We talk a lot about his dirt prowess, but it's that speed with which things happen on the half mile. Adam Stevens' crew team told me it's like watching popcorn pop, and he's used to it here.
See him trying to put together a run to be able to get to the inside of the 99, not able to do it. Denny just getting the clean air out. Denny's just moving up to get clean air. Whether it's faster or not doesn't really matter to Denny so much, as to just be in clean air and keep the car turning.
And this is how competitive this field is. That 99 car that is racing to stay in the lead lap. He was in the playoffs last year. And this year he's not in the playoffs and fighting for his life to stay on the lead lap.
Daniel Suarez is not going to let the 20 by easy, and he is fighting right now. Every time the 20 was looking to the inside, Suarez would go down there and close that door.
Here he goes.
It's again.
Can he do it?
Suarez. He doesn't come all the way down the racetrack, but he comes down enough. But here comes the 20. Bell is going. He's now got the front of the car, the nose of the car to the inside of the 99. So now Suarez is going to go a lap down. Hamlin's going to be right there to fill the void.
And if you're Christopher Bell, you're hoping for a little respect from Hamlin behind. Hey, man, there's a long way to go in this race. Let's be careful. Let's be smart. Let me get by these guys, and you follow me. Let's you and I not race. We got a big gap to the guy in third, to McDowell. Let's use some patience right here.
Out front, he has led all 28 laps to this point. Christopher Bell. It's the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Bristol, the Bass Pro Shops night race. NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. You can follow your favorite drivers with access to their in-car cameras. You can even choose some alternate camera angles if you'd like. Visit NASCAR.com/drive. You can download the NASCAR mobile app to watch all of the action. A lot of action taking place on track, and we want to take a look at the Xfinity fastest lap, and that has been turned already by Denny Hamlin. It was lap 4, 15.22 seconds. Out there on the racetrack, that is a very quick half mile. Right now, Denny Hamlin running in that second spot, about 0.4 of a second behind race leader Christopher Bell. Bell led 143 laps here last year, but finished in the 4th position. Bell wants to be in that #1 position when the checkered flag comes out later this evening.
Trying to close in up on the 2-car Cindric to try to put him a lap down. Right in front of Cindric is Ryan Newman, and then the 16 car of A.J. Allmendinger.
Dylan, what about the 54 of young Ty Gibbs?
Yeah, Joe Gibbs' car is looking good early. One of those is Ty Gibbs. So the guys upstairs were talking earlier about how you don't want to be loose in here. Well, that's good news for Ty Gibbs because they haven't felt that all weekend. Chris Gale, the crew chief, told me earlier, car is really good. The longer this race goes, it turns the center of the corner without getting loose in. So that's a big advantage for Gibbs. You see a battle for the lead.
Then he keeps stepping out to that outside. He's not really been able to make the ground on the top of 1 and 2, but the car actually looks pretty good in the top of 3 and 4, Jeff.
Yeah, I thought he almost made it work. He got there so close to making it work, and he just didn't have the exit speed to get it done. But it is getting a little bit better as we go here.
Half a car length separating the top 2 with Bell and Hamlin.
And you can slowly watch the patience run out from Bell to the cars in front of him. And then as you look at the cars in front of Bell, if you're stuck behind someone else, you were give and take at lap 20, 25, 30, but now you hear from your crew chief or your spotter, the leader's coming. Bell doesn't have to hear it. He sees a hood full of the 11 car every time he looks in the mirror.
Right there in the middle of 3 and 4, Denny's able to make pretty good time. If the 20 has any kind of an issue behind this 2 in the middle of the corner in turn 3 and 4, I think that the 11 can get to the outside. Whether that nets a pass in 1 and 2, I'm unsure.
Yeah. See, I feel like he rolls the middle of 1 and 2 pretty well. See, the exit of 4, like the middle of 3 and 4 is good. The exit of 4 is the problem, but I feel like a little bit of contact here. A little bit of patience starting to wear out.
Now Denny will go to the bottom as well to try to fill the hole here under the 2.
I'm impressed with Michael McDowell and staying up here in 3rd, staying within a second of these guys.
He's actually drove away from the cars behind him, been able to put a little distance there in that 3rd place. So
Byron has 2 lapped cars between McDowell and Byron.
Yeah, this has not been a great racetrack for McDowell here tonight. He's run more laps in the top 5 than in all the 23 races combined that he's run here. So a really good start for Michael.
His best finish is 10th, Dylan.
Well, and the ride quality has gotten better, so I don't know if that's just a product of getting the tires more up to temperature or the racetrack coming in, but that problem has gone away for McDowell. They came in here with a lot of confidence, talked about the winning setup that they have in their notebook from crew chief Travis Peterson's work with Chris Buescher last year. It's starting to come together for them. The car is coming into the window exactly when they want it to be here with 50 laps in.
And Travis,
I'm sorry, I was going to say it's just an impressive run by the 34 to get into the playoffs, that big win at Indianapolis. And then I think, they've had the speed to advance. It really was just kind of all came apart right away at Darlington. They got into that accident and got behind with very few playoff points entering.
interestingly enough, if Michael McDowell would go on to win here at Bristol, it would be very big for his crew chief, Travis Peterson. But Travis Peterson, earlier this week, they welcomed the baby boy into the family, and he said that was the greatest day of his life. So this one might be a close second.
Good perspective. That's he has his priorities in order. That's good, and I agree this would be a close second. It's a night
Close
race
second.
Bristol.
Still up front, it's Christopher Bell leading Denny Hamlin. Those two still separated by 0.3 of a second, but it's Bell that gets to the lap traffic first and has to figure out how to negotiate by. Now a lap car in between the two. Bell has the 51 behind him now, so Ryan Newman, who's notorious for being difficult to pass.
This is one of those racetracks where when you get lapped, you can't quit fighting. So many things can happen. So many different pit sequences get going on here. So many crashes get going. Getting lapped is not the end of your day. You've got to remain focused and recognize that, yes, you may have to play some strategy at some point to try to get a lap back, but you just cannot give up. Marty.
Speaking of not giving up, Kevin Harvick in the 18th position right now, and he turned out some pretty terrific lap times over the last 10 laps. The problem is, once he caught Justin Haley right in front of him, his progress stopped. Harvick told me earlier this week, Dave, he said, listen, you have to have the bottom and the top to work here at Bristol in order to make passes. Harvick finding the sledding tough from 21st so far just to 18th.
Crew Chief Paul Wolf told me that he wasn't exactly sure why Joey Logano qualified 28th. They were off balance a little bit, but not that bad. We've been worse, he said, and qualified faster. He said the first part of the race, we've got to start picking them off. To the top 20, that'll be fairly good. He's already got 6 places, but after that, it's going to be hard sledding.
5 of Kyle Larson, really fast in practice, had issues qualifying. Thankfully, he has already won if you're a 5 fan, because he started in the back, and I've been watching him. He's back to the bottom now in 3 and 4, but in 1 and 2, he's kind of been searching that second lane with some success. We'll see if he does it again here behind the 3. There you go. He climbs up, and not a half a groove like the 11. He climbs the banking, gets the downforce, and just like that, gets the run to the outside of the 3. Every other radio is hearing and seeing this. This is someone that has everyone's attention coming in, and once again, he's committing to the top, Marty, and working for the 5.
And Steve, I asked Kyle Larson about that this afternoon. I said, who's going to go to the top first? He said, I know one car. When you're starting last, it doesn't matter. But it took him a lot longer, I think, Steve, to get up there. I think he thought it would be right from the beginning, but it had to take like 50 laps before Larson was able to get to the top and try it.
Well, the problem is if the top is okay at 63, there perhaps will be no bottom at lap 400. I mean, that's the challenge of Bristol. We'll have to just wait and see.
Larson running 24th. Couple non-playoff drivers inside the top 10. LaJoie is 8th, Gibbs is 5th, Bell out front, all 63 laps. Caution is out. Allmendinger coming off of turn 4, got up into the wall, and then it shot him back down in front of Austin Cindric. Take a look.
Right behind him is the leader of the race, moves him up the racetrack in 1 and 2 to get by. Christopher Bell is clear. Then here comes Denny Hamlin. The 16 runs the top of the racetrack. Probably got up there a little bit too high, Jeff.
Yeah, a little too high, a little too early. That's going to be a really good groove later in the race, but just contact, and then Cindric just didn't expect him to be in the wall slowing up that much and just hit him really hard right here, guys. That's a lot of contact. 2 car off the ground. See, right there, the car of the 16 just isn't turning at all.
So nobody's been running that high on the racetrack. So up out of the groove, a bunch of marbles. He gets into the marbles and just literally glides across the racetrack into the fence.
And I don't think this is as obvious as everybody's going to come into pit road. I believe this is going to be a split decision. If I'm a playoff car in the back, I think I would consider staying out to try to get points, even with old tires. Dylan.
Michael McDowell decided to come down. Just reported there that he was tight rolling the center of the corner. That ride quality did get better for McDowell, though. Denny Hamlin didn't have much to say either, just that he started to get a little bit tight in the center of the corner as well. They told him, don't abuse the left front, trying to get out of the grip. So that was the message to Hamlin, Marty.
Dylan Martin Truex Jr. was in 6th for much of that run. Pretty happy with the car. Said just a little bit too tight, but free up on the straightaway. The interesting part here, Dave, is that rain is in the area, so deciding to pit or not was really a complicated one for the crew chiefs.
William Byron says he's tight at the 3/4 mark. That's it. As for the leader, Christopher Bell, losing grip, just a little tighter off, looser in, but the balance overall is good. Who wins, who loses on the first round of pit stops?
Bowman, William Byron off pit road quickly. So the caution comes out for Allmendinger and Cindric, and now we'll have a restart. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Bass Pro Shops, voted America's best outdoor retailer. Applebee's, now that's eating good in the neighborhood. Progressive Insurance, save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com. And by Credit One Bank, a credit card company. Problems on pit road, and there are penalties. So the 11 penalized for speeding.
Yeah, speeding basically at the around the corner right here. He's to the inside of the 5, and I think you just make the radius too tight. I mean, you see his left side's underneath the white line. Well, the white line is kind of where NASCAR measures it. So you really need to run above the white line to have the math work out on speeding. Too fast for the 11. The 5 also, we heard running over equipment. He has a penalty. The 14 of Chase Briscoe hits the orange box coming to pit road, so he had a penalty. And we have split decisions at the front of the field. We have a bunch of cars that have stayed out, 6 of them to be exact, 4 of which are playoff cars. And then McDowell and Keselowski on 2 tires. So we have a whole mixed bag right here with 50 to go in this stage.
50 to go in stage 1. And again, the caution came out for Allmendinger getting into the wall. Cindric got caught up in it. They're doing a lot of work on the 2. Getting ready for the restart. 23 of Bubba Wallace will be on the inside. And that's 7 of Corey LaJoie on the outside.
Big move by Logano right here in that 22 to stay out. he was not making much ground up. Let's see if this works out for him.
Playoff drivers, Wallace, Reddick, Chastain, Logano, all starting in the top 5. Go back into the restart zone, and green flag back in the air. Again, the top 6 did not come to pit road, so they are on the older tires. See how much of a difference that makes. You see Christopher Bell in the 20, making up ground on the outside.
And you can see everybody trying to get to the bottom of the racetrack. That allows that top lane to go a little bit quicker. And all of this happening on the top lane will ultimately put the rubber down. But you see everybody just fighting to get to the bottom.
3 wide here. On the outside is Bowman. On the inside, Truex Jr. Riding along with Blaney and that Advanced Auto Parts on board.
That outside line's making some good progress. You have to wonder how long that'll happen before the inside starts to take off. But I think the 38 has everybody checked up here on the inside. A lot of bumper tag right there in the middle of the corner. Truex trying to find a way through. Going to look 3 wide here down into turn 3.
Truex does not need to have another problem in the playoffs. He's currently below the cut line. Can he get back above it?
Now that 38 forced up to the top. As you see the 54 and the 48 side by side. Kyle Busch is going to try to get to the outside of the 38 here. Gilliland's going to give him a little bit of room. Kyle back to the outside. Now he's got the momentum as we look off the front bumper of Buescher's car. Buescher now getting to the top of the racetrack to try to do the same thing, follow the 8 through on the top.
Kyle Busch, 3 wins on the season. He told us before the playoffs started, he thinks you have to win 5 races as far as winning a championship. So he said that's 2 more I've got to win here in the playoffs. I'm sure he was thinking about Phoenix as being one of those that he could potentially win to grab his 3rd championship, as right now Kyle Busch running in the 15th position. Here's 4th. It's Tyler Reddick just in front of Christopher Bell.
Yeah, Reddick stayed out. He's on old tires, Bell on fresh tires. And Bell, I think, you know, he's just hoping over the next 43, 42 laps that those tires in front start to lose enough grip where he can be a little more aggressive. I mean, you can see he has a better driving car, at least more grip on corner exit.
Fighting all around the racetrack. Bell now to the inside of Reddick. You see Larson trying to hold off Denny Hamlin, who's outside of him. Penalties for the 14, the 5, and the 11 the last time they were on pit road.
And if you're the crew chief, or you're Chris Gabehart for Denny Hamlin, you came in with a big bucket of points. This should be a pretty easy day. Just not make this penalty worse. Be patient, at least as patient as you can be. Don't force a mistake. If you get caught up, you get caught up. But don't make it your own mistake.
Coming up on 40 laps to go in stage 1, Dylan.
So Steve, that's exactly the message that Chris Gabehart relayed to me earlier. The last 2 years, they feel like they've had the best car here, but haven't won for a variety of reasons. So he said that the car and how good it is, it's really a small part of success here. It's mostly about how you overcome adversity. This is earlier than they wanted to have to overcome it, but they're going to try and make up all the gap that they've lost, Marty.
Dylan, meanwhile, Kevin Harvick is struggling. They went right side tires on that last stop, and he just came on the radio. He said we took a tight car and made it even tighter. He's gone backwards on the 2-tire stop, and I thought that, you know, could be effective, Steve. Are you surprised Harvick is losing all this track position?
Yeah, they obviously didn't make enough adjustment to compensate for 2 tires because other drivers, it's working very well for. The 34 of Michael McDowell is staying up inside the top 6 or 7 with only right side tires on his car.
Harvick lost a ton of spots. Cars going around the top of this 4 car when he was on the bottom of the racetrack. Look at that contact right there with Hamlin in the middle of the back straightaway. But now Harvick's moved to the top. This may be the only way really he can save the race, is to get up the racetrack where the car may turn a little bit better. We're seeing that top groove actually be decent now. Contact with the walls. The car gets really tight off turn 2. He's got some serious handling issues with that car.
Again, those drivers that stayed out, didn't change tires, they're still holding pretty tough up front.
Yeah, this car just looks miserable to drive.
Well, and this is going to be a huge penalty. Not because he can't overcome it, but now he's fallen so far back, currently 27th. The opportunity for stage points has evaporated for the 4 car. And what makes that worse is at the front of the pack, Wallace, Bell, Chastain, McDowell, Byron, Logano, who started all the way in the back, currently running 9th. So a lot of playoff cars are going to try to capitalize here in 30 laps.
And playoff points so important when we get to the end of stage 1. Kevin Harvick, as we've been following, all the way back to 28th, Marty.
And Harvick just said on the radio, this thing's just terrible right now. So Junior kind of walked me through a tight race car here at Bristol. In fact, Harvick, as I mentioned earlier, said we took a tight race car and made it even tighter. What's that like here?
We do exactly what he's doing right there. You either got to put that left front tire on that yellow line. There's a lot of grip on the painted line. If you can be patient enough to roll around the bottom just like that, that is probably the quickest way around this racetrack for him to be able to survive. If you slip up and move up the racetrack, you lose a ton of time with a tight race car through the middle of the corner. The top of the racetrack's another option. As he's tried that, he understands that this is where he needs to be right now. So stay on the bottom, Kevin, and try to do the best you can, hope for a yellow.
Kim, what about the 7 of LaJoie? He's led the most laps ever in a race.
Yeah, great weekend for them. They had a top 10 qualifying effort, now finds itself out front due to strategy. They're hoping to get stage points. This team is not in the playoffs, but they still have a lot on the line. They're in a dogfight for 25th in points, which they told me means a ton to them and this race team. Right now, Corey just saying he doesn't have tremendous forward ability, needs more turn on throttle.
Met with some patients, cancer patients at a children's hospital earlier this week. NEGU, never ever give up on the hood of the 7 of Corey LaJoie, who's leading here at Bristol, the night race. LaJoie out front of Wallace, Bell, Chastain, and Reddick. Second caution has come out, and this time it's for some precipitation that has come down, bringing us to a cautious pace. There you see the radar. Again, another little cell breaking up as it comes right over Bristol Motor Speedway, but enough that NASCAR wanted to throw the caution. Corey LaJoie was about to be passed by Christopher Bell, but the caution came out right when he got to his back bumper, actually right to the inside door. So now LaJoie still out front and still leading laps. He's led 36 laps already. Career high number of laps, because in his entire career, he had led 72. So 36 already up front here at Bristol.
That's a big break for a few drivers there. Kevin Harvick, as we was watching before we went to break there, this car struggling with a tight handling condition, fading back, almost about to be a lap down, making contact with the wall and other competitors as well. They finally might have an opportunity to come down pit road, make some adjustments.
And I would say Joey Logano, Steve, he was running 22nd when that first caution came out. They stayed out to get track position. When they all got done running, he was still running 9th. So right now, that was a positive move for them.
And everything I've seen so far, you better sharpen your pencils and start calling this thing like a repave. Because coming to pit road and thinking you're going to turn some magic screw and make your car better and drive through the field, that's gone. You had better get your car up front, fight for track position. Now that determines, you know, how many points you can and can't score. That's what's so tough for the playoff guys who need points. They have to kind of commit here to the end of the stage, at least the ones running inside the top 10.
Simplest terms, when you made that comment about a repave, you're saying these tires are not falling off enough, that tires are that important?
Well, they fall off some over a long run, but then once they cooled right there, they fire off not as good as new, but good enough that if you don't make a mistake, I mean, we see Christopher Bell has driven up to second, but the old tires are still first, third, fourth, and fifth. I mean, only William Byron is falling back. So to your point, Junior, about this kind of helping and saving Harvick, 2 tires, I don't think it was an awful call. It was 2 tires on a car that wasn't handling, right? The combination is kind of what hurt Kevin Harvick, because 2 tires is working okay for McDowell, who still sits 6th.
Pit road's open. We'll see what a few of these guys do.
So McDowell pits, not shocking, right? He's thinking at this point it's a must win. He doesn't think he can score enough stage points, and with that, he's dragging the back kind of half of the field with him. Dylan.
And he's still battling a little bit of a tight condition, just wants to turn the middle of the corner a little bit more. Travis Peterson said not going to make a ton of adjustments. Ty Gibbs was tight. He said we're way, way, way better on this run. So good news from the 54. Marty.
Back on the front side of pit road, Dylan, Kevin Harvick making a pit stop. He said the car was just too tight, as we mentioned a few times. Rodney Childers came on the radio and said, here's the adjustments I should have done. So Harvick getting a chance to make the car better, Dave.
Alex Bowman lost 3 positions on that run since the last restart. His 48 car also to the tight side, so the crew will go to that. He took 2 right side tires last time. This time he'll take 4 Goodyear tires.
A little surprised to see the 4 car take 4 tires. I know he didn't like 2 rights, but that might have been a chance to just take 2 lefts to kind of get yourself some track position. But we heard Ronnie wanted to make adjustments. Some of those adjustments might be right side air pressure. The only way to change the air pressure is to change the tires. So I've been kind of in that box before.
It'll be 14 laps to go when they come by the start-finish line now. And again, the reason for this caution is precipitation that has been in the area. It's LaJoie out in front. Bell, Wallace, Chastain, and Blaney running in the top 5. And it's short track racing from Bristol, bumping and banging. Running the bottom, running the middle, and the top. Corey LaJoie about to restart on the outside of that front row, and Christopher Bell will be on the inside in the 20. That's Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick, two 2311 drivers making up row 2. Now, 12 laps to go in stage 1. Great restart for the 7 of LaJoie.
Yeah, Tyler Reddick in that 45 car, he started behind him. He did not get a great restart at all.
Christopher Bell was just about to go around Corey LaJoie for the lead when the caution came out. Can Corey fire off here for a few laps? 10, 11 laps to go in the stage.
Busher and Blaney, the 17 and the 12 there, a little contact through the turn. Let's see if Bell can get by that 7. 10 to go. Ready to the inside of Byron. If you're Jay Balvin, you are cheering hard right now for the 45.
3 wide right here. This is tight.
The third lane has been working for Ty Gibbs. I think Kyle Larson's seen it because that's the car in front of him. So he did the same thing. Jumped up to the third lane. Now the 11's there, Junior.
Yeah, Denny actually got in the wall there just a little bit on the back straightaway on the outside of the 31 car.
Yeah, I'm not sure Haley knew he was there. Things got tight. Battle for the lead.
That top groove is coming in, guys. Right around the 100, 110 lap mark of this race.
Corey LaJoie still holding tough out in front, but Bell a half a car length behind.
You mentioned the sponsor on the 7. It was a big day for Spire as well. They announced they're going to have a driver join the stable for a third car, it sounds like. A little bit of work with Trackhouse as now the 20 gets to the inside of the 7.
Corey slipped up the track on the entry of the corner there.
Here comes Bell, and Bell takes the lead here at Bristol. Bell out in front. Remember, playoff points on the line as well. So Bell trying to accumulate all the points he can here in stage 1.
And the 22 of Logano, he is backing up. He was in position. Oh, contact there. He was in position to maybe get some points, but he is not going in the right direction at all.
Yeah, that contact made with 31 of Justin Haley. We're also seeing Busch slow as well. The 9 of Elliott gets into the back of Kyle Busch. Now Logano trying to stay to the outside of that 42 of Carson Hocevar. Eric Jones in the 43 moving up. Under 3 laps to go in stage 1.
Yeah, Logano, this big struggle, obviously doesn't have tires on, but by the way, the guy running second and the guy running third, 5th, and 6th, they don't have tires either, so big issues with the 22.
Yeah, bottle up right there behind the 22 of Logano. Under 2 laps to go. Bell starting to pull away from LaJoie for the stage win as he comes by this time one more time around for Bell and stage 1. Harvick, you see him running up higher. Bell's going to work his way around 3 and 4 and grab his 3rd stage win of the year and his 2nd here at Bristol. LaJoie 2nd in stage 1. Bubba Wallace, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, Chastain Keselowski, Martin Truex Jr. finishing in 8th in stage 1. Huge for that team, getting stage points as they were below the cut line coming into this race. Larson, Gibbs rounding out the top 10. World's fastest half mile, and we are definitely seeing bumping and banging all around the track. Everybody fighting for spots. fight for every point around this half mile is intense. As we saw the 19 and the 5, this is a fight for the 8th position. Initially, I had thought that the 19 crossed in front of the 5, but as we look back at it, the 5 noses just in front of the 19 at the line, and that is a point.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1 point, and okay, so if it's a 5 or 10 point swing at the end of the day, no big deal. But we've seen this go to the tiebreaker before, right? Who has the best finish? So 1 point can be the difference, and it was quite shocking to see it was going to be that close. You think Larson really doesn't even have a dog in the fight. He's just a racer in him, and he's thinking, man, if I beat him to the line, that's one more position I don't have to pass in the next stage.
Well, Larson started last, and he had a running over the equipment penalty also, and still finished 8th in stage 1, so a good battle by them.
Pretty impressive run already for the 5 team of Larson. Again, the guaranteed spot in the place of 12, that round of 12, as pit stops underway once again. Kim.
Tyler Reddick reporting just a little tight with each heat cycle. Also a little brake shake, no changes for him. Corey LaJoie in the middle right there needs more turn on throttle. Kyle Busch not happy with that race car. 2 loose in, 6 tight in the center, 4 loose off. He said big air adjustment and wedge. Marty.
Kim, on a night when they just needed points, nice call by Phil Surgeon to leave Ross Chastain out for that entire stage 1. They wound up getting 5 stage points for the 1 car. Said he's way too tight on the bottom of the racetrack, and everywhere else way too loose. Martin Truex Jr. also taking advantage of this. He too got a few stage points right there. So the car's way too tight, Dave.
8 stage points earned for Bubba Wallace in the 23. He says, I need to be able to turn to get down to the bottom. I'm willing to sacrifice a little entry. They will free the 23 up.
See the race off pit road. LaJoie and Wallace coming off not losing spots. Chastain, Keselowski gaining a couple.
You don't have to be in the race to be in the race.
Here comes the 94.
Introducing the NASCAR Powerball Playoff. 4 finalists will win a trip for 2 to the NASCAR Cup Series Championship race at the Phoenix Raceway, with the grand prize winner taking home $1 million. Here they are, the 12 semifinalists in the race for the million. Powerball, the official lottery game of NASCAR, and home to the NASCAR Powerball Playoff.
And here they are again, the 12 Powerball players advancing for a chance to win $1 million at NASCAR Championship Weekend. Powerball, the official lottery game of NASCAR. And funny, Steve, you mentioned, hey, there's somebody from Maine in there. I looked in there, there's somebody from Nebraska in there too.
All right. Love it. Fans all over the place.
Opportunity to win.
Now you have a big reset, right? Because the cars that stayed out because they needed those stage points, at some point you have to come to pit road, and they did, and that puts Wallace, Chastain, Keselowski, Reddick, Busch, Truex Jr. all outside the top 20. So they just need to, you know, have a few breaks go their way with 115 laps to go in this stage, and we see the green flag.
And now, you know, we talk about how well Larson did in that stage to be able to move into the top 10. Now he's going to line up on the front row. One of the fastest cars in practice. The 20's been the fastest car in this race. Now let's see if the 5 of Larson has anything for it.
I know this would be a stretch, Steve, but if they do go all the way based on fuel, they should be fine still, right? Because the 20 and the 24 both came on lap 71.
Oh, yeah. They can all make it all the way to the end of stage 2 on fuel, for sure.
So here are the stage points. The 10 of Bell grabbing 10 playoff points, or 10 points, stage points, as well as that 1 playoff point for winning the stage. Important for Martin Truex Jr. He grabbed 2 points. Keselowski 4, Chastain 5. Bubba Wallace 8 points. So great to grab some points there for those playoff drivers hoping to advance after tonight's race. We saw the lights come back on the pace car. That was because some precipitation in the area. And Bubba Wallace has got to feel pretty good, Dave, about that top 10 finish.
Yeah, but he's got that flip-flop going on. Here's what crew chief Booty Barker told him.
What's the scenario? Yeah, 5 points right now, year 12. Yeah, what's going to happen right here, of course, we're going to cycle back to the back, but obviously we've proven what we can do right there, so you can just keep making time.
Putting a little confidence in him, prove what they could do, finish 3rd in the stage, but to restart all the way back to 24th.
Booty Barker there hearing from the big boss, MJ, Uncle Jordan there on the pit box.
I've had a lot of people tap me on the shoulder and ask me questions during a race on top of the pit box, but I think that one there would get my attention.
Some tells me he has an opinion about what's going on out there.
You know what I love, though, is I agree, Jeff. I think he has an opinion, and he is dialed in. Dale, you and I had this conversation. It's impressive how many races Michael comes to, right? I know he owns the team and all of that, but he has a lot of things going on in his world and his life. We see him a lot at the racetrack, and he is up here dialed in. He wants to know how this is going to turn out.
And the reason he has such a passion for this sport is because growing up in North Carolina, this was one of his favorite sports. He loved NASCAR as a kid growing up, and now as a team owner with Denny Hamlin owning 2311 and having great success as Tyler Reddick and Bubba Wallace both in the playoffs. And we're seeing the cars make their way onto pit road once again. Not a great sight as stage 1 is complete, but we have not received the green flag for stage 2. Here's another look at the radar. Again, just some small cells as they break up right when they come here to the racetrack, but enough that they have decided to bring the field, and there you see the rain coming down, bring the field back onto pit road. We'll see if they ask the teams to bring the covers out. Currently the drivers are staying in the cars.
Seems like the track has changed a little bit of color, which tells me it's gotten relatively wet.
A little bit harder rain. This is the hardest we've seen it rain this evening. There's been some very light mist, some light showers that have passed through, but this one has the has the crew now making their way out there with the covers. Marty.
Yeah, good news and bad news with this rain, Rick. As you mentioned, the heaviest drops, you can see it from our camera there at the end of pit road. Heaviest drops all night long, but also probably the smallest cell that has been over the Bristol Motor Speedway here with 138 laps completed. You know, one interesting thing here, Steve, as we have some time, is that I was talking to Matt McCall a moment ago, and he told Brad Keselowski, his crew, or his driver, he said, hey, listen, I'm not sure we can run 100 laps on a set of tires. That first set of tires that came off, the right front was completely gone, he said. And I noticed for Ross Chastain, who ran that entire stage, the inside of the right front, that's what seems to be wearing the most. We've also heard reports of a couple of teams courting some right front tires as well. But Matt McCall did say to me a moment ago, he said, hey, it was much better on that run. Should that get better throughout the evening as we get some laps in here at Bristol?
I think it will absolutely get better as rubber gets put down on the bottom. It might trend a little bit worse as the cars move up, and then it'll swing back better as the rubber gets put down up top. And that conversation, Marty, is exactly why these cars are stopped on the front stretch. You know, we have seen rain tires at short tracks, and while Bristol is in the short track category, it's anything but standard or normal. It's just the speed, the loads, and the banking. I mean, Goodyear's regular tires wear out in 100 laps. The rain tires are much softer. They're just not really built for these speeds and this much banking, so for that reason, there are no rain tires available. We're just gonna have to let this cell go on and then keep racing on slicks.
Again, you can still see that rain coming down as the jet dryers are going to make their way out onto the track.
The other impact this has is we've been talking about the bottom, how dominant has it been. We've started to see the top come in. And now with the rain and changing the racetrack again, I wonder if that delays the top coming in again. So it'll be interesting to see what kind of impact this has. And truth is, nobody really knows. I mean, this is a new tire on the right side this weekend at Bristol, and you really don't know what's going to happen. You don't have enough experience to go back on, to lean on. A lot of questions for drivers and crew chiefs.
So already 137 laps complete, and we take a look at playoff drivers and the issues that they have had.
Yeah, the 11 of Denny Hamlin just cuts the corner, runs too low. Those pie-shaped timing lines get you in trouble if you run too low down on the pie. That's what he did. And while one Gibbs driver with an issue, the other Gibbs driver, the 20, wins the stage.
And very tight battle right here. The 5 of Larson beating the 19 of Truex for that 1 point. It's amazing how 1 point can matter. We've seen it over and over. The difference between going to the next round and not can be just 1 point.
So again, the round of 16 winding down with this race here. Larson and Reddick with their wins in the first 2 races, advancing into the round of 12. And Bell right now as the leader could make that an easy advancement, but Byron Hamlin, Blaney, all at the end of stage 2 could lock themselves into that round of 12. See if we can talk to the driver of the 12.
Hey, Ryan, it's the guys in the NBC booth. You got a copy? Let's try that one more time. He might not have his antenna on if they've put the car cover on. Hey, Ryan, it's upstairs in the NBC booth. You got a copy?
A lot of static there we're hearing.
Yeah, I think what it is I'm sure the car cover probably definitely hurts. He might have even taken the antenna off. That's why he's broken up a little bit.
Said he heard you. I'm sure it was not, he didn't want to talk to you. He wanted to
I don't know,
talk
I
to
think
you.
I'll have a talk with him. I took it a little personal, but it's okay.
So Blaney, as he runs, currently 10th on the running order. Hamlin behind him, and pretty amazing recovery for Denny Hamlin after the speeding penalty. And back up to 11th. Harvick scored 18th as far as running position for playoff drivers. Back outside of the top 20 is Chastain, Wallace, Keselowski, Reddick, Busch, Truex Jr, and Logano.
Suarez had gotten out of his car. NASCAR asked the drivers to stay in the cars. Suarez got out and they said, hey, get back in. We don't want to be waiting on drivers to get going again.
There you see just very light rain right now in front of the headlights of that pace car. So while the cars have stopped on pit road, we'll take a quick break. So many great sports moments that have taken place here in Tennessee, and one of the biggest was Tennessee Tech, Virginia Tech. That game taking place right in the infield here of Bristol Motor Speedway.
500, baby. Hell yeah! Hell yeah, guys. Great job today.
You can tell this one means just a little bit more.
Hell yeah, buddy. Let's go! Yeah! All right! You are awesome, buddy. You are awesome. That is awesome.
Two races in, and it's been Larson winning at Darlington and Reddick winning at Kansas. And so those two will advance into the round of 12 with those wins. And we look at the points as they run, as they're taking the car covers off of the cars, which is a great sign. But Steve, you have Christopher Bell leading this race, so he's up there above these guys fighting for points. But with him up there, you see Stenhouse Jr., Logano, Martin Truex Jr., all right there around the cut line.
Yeah, and we covered it live. Jeff Burton pointed it out. The 22 is in a really good spot, but that late yellow kind of shuffled him out. I think he was the guy that really missed out on those stage points, and I think that hurts. Even though he sits +9 feeling okay about it, this sounds crazy, but I think the big winner is Bubba Wallace. I mean, Bubba Wallace scored 8 points. He came in at -19, but he's currently sitting 25th. So that live as you run at -11, he has a lot of points available. The success of the 23 car in the first stage has made this a way more complicated conversation, because I think we all thought if Stenhouse and Bubba didn't score points, we could maybe rule them out as getting through on points. Anything but. Bubba Wallace with MJ in attendance doing everything he needs, third in the stage.
Again, I mentioned earlier, Byron and Hamlin, they could lock themselves in to that round of 12 based on points at the end of stage 2. Let's check in with DJ, KP, and Burton, who are taking over.
Well, we've seen a great race so far. It's been kind of wild, been locked on the bottom. The top is starting to come in. What have you guys been seeing?
Yeah, the top was coming in. I don't know, and you guys said it earlier. How's this rain going to affect that? Will we have to wait another 50 or 60 laps to see it come back in? But it has just been, it's interesting to see how some of the contenders, Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, how they're struggling tonight. I didn't expect to see this struggle this early in the race.
Yeah, and I think right now is kind of the best time that we're going to see, because once that top does come in, then it's probably going to be a lot around there, and you're really going to have to work hard to make a pass on the bottom side. But right now you can do either, so that's exactly what you're looking for if we want to talk about that. But you know, Bubba Wallace did a great job. Yes. I think they had the perfect strategies. They had a good race car. He did a nice job. There was some crazy racing going on. We can't show every car, obviously, out there as it's going on. But, I mean, they were 3 wide, on, especially on that last restart, just trying to get everything they could. But that was a huge first stage for Bubba Wallace and his team to try to maneuver their way into the playoff picture.
So a long way to go. We've been to Bristol a lot. We know a lot is going to happen between now and the checkered flag. Who you got your eyes on? Who do you think's got the best car and who can win this race?
Look, Christopher Bell, and I think Christopher Bell needs a win here. After 2 weeks of sitting on the pole and not having a lot to show for it, we know what he did in the playoffs last year. He was really, really good in the first the first round, second round, all the way through. He's just not shown that this year. This is a momentum builder for him. I think if he wins here tonight, can run up front like this, then this is going to be a big night for Christopher Bell.
Well, Christopher Bell and his team, they've been fast all year long, but execution has been their problem. There's been mistakes on pit road, been mistakes on the racetrack. Christopher Bell, they changed the pit crew on this team, took it away from Ty Gibbs. He said this week they haven't had good pit stops, but he's got to do a better job on pit road as well. So driver, pit crew, team, they just haven't executed, but they have to now in the playoffs, DJ.
Yeah, you have to continue that. They put themselves in a position here once again to transfer into the round of 12, but there's a long way to go in this race if they can continue to do that. The one thing that you can say about Christopher Bell is that he gives everything he has pretty much every single lap of every race. And so you can't fault him for always trying his very best and hardest.
Yeah, but I want to elaborate on that 1 minute. I think there's been a couple of races this year that he needed to back that very best up a little bit and just take what the racetrack gave him. Just run 8th. If it give you an 8th, take that 8th. If it give you a 5th, take that 5th. That's what he needs to do tonight also. I think he can win the race, but I think if they get in a situation where they have to capitalize and maximize, he can't try to get too much too quick.
Well, the jet drivers are out there on the track. The drivers are still in their cars. NASCAR working hard to get the track dry so we can go back racing. A lot of fun coming.
bright sides here as NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Bristol continues. The Bass Pro Shops night race. One stage is complete. We're getting ready for the start of stage 2. All right, crew chief. So we've seen tires not be as big of an issue. Corey LaJoie went the whole stage, didn't have to change them.
Yeah, I mean, track position definitely matters. New tires aren't a guarantee that you're going to drive through the field. And if you're watching and you're scratching your head trying to figure out where your driver is and how he got there because he was good and now he's in the back, or he was in the back, now he's in the front, that's absolutely okay. We have 4 or 5 different pit strategies going on right now. What really matters is, did your favorite driver score the points he needed in the playoffs, and will he score more points in 113 laps? It's chaos, it's confusing, and I'm going to tell the fans at home, that's Bristol. What you're seeing, what you're feeling, that's what it's like being on top of the pit box. It happens so fast.
Might be an issue here for Ryan Preece, that 41 not rolling.
And NASCAR will give him a free push off. So basically, NASCAR brought him down, they stopped them, so the tow truck will come down and kind of push him off, and as long as the car fires, they'll let him go back to where he rightfully belongs. The issue is if it doesn't fire, you can be scored a lap down and have to go to your pit stall. We'll just see if it's something as simple as the start. Oh yeah, you fired right off.
That's a tense moment, by the way.
Yeah.
Those few seconds where it won't fire, you're like, what is going on? The world's coming to an end.
We talk about tense moments, probably the most tense for Ryan Preece and so many fans watching on. Ryan Preece barrel rolling 10 times through the infield of Daytona, landing on his wheels, and then what a great sight seeing him climb out of that car.
Yeah, I had a conversation with him at Kansas about that whole wreck. It was just in person, him taking you through it all. And then, you know, I knew it, but he reminded me that Talladega, he had that huge impact with Kyle Larson. So when you look at Speedway racing, it's one thing to have bad luck and get caught up in wrecks for points or bad finishing positions, but it's double bad luck when your wrecks are 2 of the hardest wrecks we have seen, most spectacular wrecks of this year.
Yeah, Preece with an opportunity this year to run full time in the Cup Series. It's been difficult. You know, they just have not had a very good year from a competition standpoint. There's been a lot of teams. They're not the only one that struggled, and then to have those 2 big races, Dylan, where he had those wrecks, that had to be setting back a little bit as well.
Restarting next to him will be Michael McDowell, 15-year veteran of the sport, but there's always coaching and things to learn. On the radio, Travis Peterson and his spotter Clayton Hughes just been telling him, back up your entry a little bit and don't charge in so hard. It's going to help us get through the corner and off the corner a little bit better, Kim.
Well, Dylan, after those pit cycles, Kyle Busch will restart in the 29th position. Still does not like that car loose in, really tight center, loose off. That team has pulled off the calculators, though, Dave. Told Kyle Busch right before that red flag he needs to finish 18th or better to transfer to the next round.
Joey Logano finally pitted at the stage end, and now he is all the way back to 30th. Good news, he's on the plus side of the cut line right now.
So Joey Logano again fighting to stay in the playoffs, the reigning Cup Series champion, as we're getting ready to start stage 2.
Chase Elliott cut his teammate Larson a break right there on the inside line. Looked 3 wide for a minute. Carson Hocevar almost 3 wide back there in the 42 car.
Aggressive move by Gibbs.
Yeah, Gibbs got a fast race car. Was quick in practice. Goes to the outside of Byron. Great momentum. Look at that top side. Going to make a pass for second place on the top of the racetrack.
We mentioned it earlier. The second that the spotters see that information goes out to every team. Gibbs just made the pass on the high side, and now the 24 trying to fight for the position with the 34 of McDowell.
Byron's going to find out about that high side, whether he likes it or not here. Trying to keep this position from the 34 McDowell. Not able to do it down here in 3 and 4. He fights back on the corner, down the back straightaway. Every lap they're learning a little bit about how to do that, run that high side better and better. A couple more corners, should be able to have the momentum on corner X to be able to clear the 34.
Yeah, I feel like that top is getting better, but still the bottom is a little bit more favored on the restart. You can see immediately William Byron jump to the bottom once he made that pass.
Bell, Gibbs, Byron, McDowell, and Larson all in the top 5.
top's going to be really favorable back in the pack. You know, if everybody's on the bottom in dirty air, slowing down, struggling on the bottom, if you jump to that outside in clean air, you can really take advantage of some people. That's what Buescher's doing right here on this 48. Just jumped to the outside. The 48 struggling off of the car in front of him. He's able to get around. Now Denny Hamlin's going to try to do the same thing to Alex Bowman down here in turn 3 and 4. You see Denny fly out to the high side of the racetrack, trying to create momentum on the top side there.
Riding along with Buescher, and we have the progressive telemetry to look at as he works his way around the half mile.
Yeah, half mile with a ton of banking. This is a physical racetrack. It's trying to shove you out of the seat, trying to just shove you to the right side of the car. Constant G-forces, you never get a break. Look at the little bitty straightaway right here, then immediately back in the corner. G-force exposure, heat, constant stress. This is a hard 500 laps.
See, he's always turning the wheel left slightly.
Big run out of Ross Chastain in the 1 as he got right to the back bumper. Martin Truex Jr. had to check up there, but now here comes Logano.
Well, and Truex, Chastain, and Logano, that is 30th, 31st, and 33rd.
And they know the leader, Christopher Bell, is going to be on the scene soon, and they know they've got to get away from him. But all of the traffic, it's hard to go anywhere. When you get stuck in the back here, it is tough sledding.
Looking off of the front of Logano's car there as he was able to clear Newman, and there is how close Christopher Bell is to those drivers that we were just focusing on.
And about a half a second a lap faster. Clean air, nothing to deal with except driving your car. All of these guys are in the middle of this fierce battle. They can hardly focus on driving the car. They're just focusing on the people around them. It's a major advantage to be in the front of the field.
Larson running that higher line now and making it work. And Larson's going to take 4th away from McDowell. Marty.
You know, it's crazy, Rick, is that Kyle Larson restarted 2nd, fell back to 6th immediately, and then stormed up through the field now to 4th by running that higher line. So Junior is someone who loves to run the high line. Larson called this before the restart. He said the high line is going to come in quickly. How did he know all of a sudden it was going to come in before they even restarted the race?
Yeah, I think actually what he saw was young Ty Gibbs using that high line on the earlier restart. That was the one. I saw the 5 car of Larson see that 54 car up there making time, and he jumped up there and started doing the same thing, was able to drive into the top 10 using that high side. So you can see the rubber being laid down, and this guy knows how to run the top better than anyone else. He cannot wait for that top. He is the one anticipating it more than anyone else in the field, because that's exactly where he wants to be and making time. There he goes to the top of the racetrack here. Cleaner air on that 24 car. Trying to go around the top and create big momentum down the straightaway. Right back to the top again. Into the throttle way sooner than the car on the bottom. Look how he closes down the straightaway. Do this lap after lap after lap. Eventually he'll be on the right rear quarter of the 24.
And spotters are watching it. They are watching him and watching the ground he's making up, and they're starting to relay that information to the drivers. The drivers then have to make a decision, when am I going to go there? Some are afraid to go there because there's a guy right on their rear bumper. They're afraid to go to the top and it's not going to work. Others have nothing to lose, and they will go try it, as you can see the 5 on the outside of the 24.
So the 5 goes by. He'll clear the 24 off this corner. Does Byron go to the top of the racetrack? Does he follow this 5? Yeah. He wants to go up there now and say, all right, I'm going to see if I can make the same amount of time up there. But Larson doesn't show him how to do it. Larson's like, hey, I'm not going to show you my moves. I'm not going to show you the line I'm running. I'm going to go back to the bottom of the racetrack. How frustrating is that, Dave?
Got to be really frustrating, but they told William Byron in the 24, your lap times are the same whether you're running high or running low. The one place we don't want you is in between. If you're going to take the low line, you get all 4 of those tires down in the black stuff.
Yeah, once the 5 got in the clean air, he really didn't need the top of the racetrack anymore. He could go right back to the bottom and run that bottom of the racetrack. So William Byron doesn't learn much about the top of the racetrack. He's still going to keep trying to work up there to find some speed. But I think when you have clean air, if you have a fast car, no matter how, where you are on the racetrack, if you've got clean air, you want to try to run that bottom still. But when you get in traffic, you can use that top side to move forward. Here's the 20 car. Christopher Bell, the leader, getting around lap traffic. Ty Gibbs closing in. in that 54 car.
And this 20 is right behind the 22. There is one car in between them. Joey Logano running the top. Christopher Bell trying to run him down. Christopher underneath the 51. Joey Logano is racing for his year right here. I mean, that's the intensity he's got to have. He cannot afford to go a lap down.
And here comes the 20.
So this
barely clear.
I wonder if the 22 will just run defensively, and what does that mean? Right now, 1 and 2 on the bottom. That's defensive. That's where he wants to be to try to block this 20. But now he gives him the top. I think the 20 can get to the outside or to the inside now on the front straightaway. Can the 22 run him hard on the outside here? 1 and 2. He runs him tight. Look at that. He's going to run him tight and force that 20 not to be able to finish the corner and get the throttle on corner exit.
Now way up the racetrack for Logano. Again, fighting to stay on the lead lap, but he goes down. Now as Bell has put Logano a lap down here at Bristol. It's Bell, Gibbs, Larson, Byron, and McDowell, the top 5. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Applebee's. Now that's eating good in the neighborhood. And by Bass Pro Shops, voted America's best outdoor retailer. New leader at Bristol, Kyle Larson in the 5 has taken over the top spot from Christopher Bell.
Yeah, he worked that traffic a little bit. Take a look and goes to the top of the racetrack. Christopher Bell thinking that the 1 is going to go by the 15 here. He's not able to really make it work. Momentum's with the 5 on the top of the racetrack. He's going to finish the pass on corner exit here. Chastain's been able to stay right ahead of these guys as they continue to work by lap traffic. That 1 car up there, he's working as hard as he can to keep that car on the lead lap.
And don't count out that 54 of Ty Gibbs. We have seen him consistently have speed on weekends, has not really been able to put the races together, but don't count him out tonight.
And guys, the points right now, take a look at this right here.
Oh my.
I mean, when we showed it, right? 1 point, the 5 and the 19. That's why every point matters. Logano, Wallace, Truex, Harvick, Stenhouse, even McDowell, all stacked right together.
Truex is literally just a straightaway ahead of this 5 car. So as the 5 tries to work around Chastain, this will be a tough pass for Larson. And it'll allow the 20 to maybe close back in. Larson works the bottom of the racetrack here in 1 and 2. Almost contact right there. Back to the bottom in 3 and 4.
Yeah, you said it. It's going to be a tough pass. Chastain is not going to give this up easily. That outside is starting to come in. I feel like the 5 is a better car. But Chastain doing a great job, Marty, on that top lane.
Yeah, he's doing a fine job. He is now the 3rd playoff driver to go down the lap. The problem for Ross Chastain, Jeff, is that he's too tight right there on the bottom of the racetrack. But as soon as he gets off of the sticky stuff on the bottom of the track, he's way too free. So when you're too free, Jeff, here at Bristol, why can't you run the top?
Yeah, it's you know, the bottom is always a little bit tighter. You would think it would be the other way around. You know, the top, you don't have to turn the steering wheel quite as much, but you just do not have as much grip up there when you lose. See Chastain way up the racetrack right there.
We practice in the grip all weekend. That grip gives you a false confidence of how much right rear grip you have. So that grip in the bottom of the racetrack, the treated part, is really going to make the car feel great all weekend. We never move up the racetrack until the race, right? So you never know once you move out of the grip what the car is going to do. Is it going to get tight? Is it going to get loose? Once you do move out of that grip, you'll find out, and you'll need to work on the car.
Now Gibbs trying to get by that 1 of Ross Chastain as well. So Chastain has gone a lap down. As Marty just mentioned, Logano and Harvick also a lap down. Those playoff drivers fighting for every point.
Well, and there's 59 laps to go on the stage. So, I mean, there's really no rest in sight unless we have a yellow. 59 laps around here. These ill-handling cars are only going to drive worse. Kyle Larson now putting the 95th green flag lap on his set of tires here. And you just have to ask yourself, Marty was talking about earlier, heavy wear on the right side tires. Now that he's moving around and running the top, are the tire wear getting better, or is it, you know, wearing more as he runs all around the racetrack?
Well, on top of that, look who is in front of the 5 car. Truex is right there. That shows you, you know, Truex pitted earlier, had to get tires, gave up track position, and now he is in danger of going a lap down.
Truex running in the 24th spot. Marty.
Boy, Rick, all of these teams that pitted at lap 130 just struggling to make it through the field, including Martin Truex Jr., who is also struggling with the handling of the race car. See, too free off the corner right there. Steve, to the point you made a moment ago about the 5 car, Kyle Larson and Cliff Daniels. I asked Cliff Daniels, did you see any tire wear issues? He said, we have not, but we might on this run. He said, you got to remember, we started 36 today. We weren't going that fast when we came up through the field. But now that we're running up front and Kyle is pushing the car harder, I'm interested to see this set of tires when they come off.
Yeah, it's a great point. I mean, pace, load, all of those factors make a difference. And just, you know, the lap time wasn't available.
Here comes Bell once again, fighting that high line and looking to get a little momentum, maybe catch up to the back bumper of the 5. This is a battle for the lead once again.
A lot of traffic in front of these cars, and that's challenging for the leader. A lot of these cars, especially the 14 right now, Briscoe trying to stay on the lead lap. Nobody wants to go a lap down here this early in the race. So they're going to make it difficult on the leader. That's going to allow the 20 of Bell to close in. He's going to take the lead right back. But he too finds the same challenge of dirty air at the top of the racetrack. So it's not an opportunity lost for the 5. The 5 of Larson can regroup. Allow this 20 to handle the hassle of trying to put these cars a lap down a few corners. Let him go up there and do the dirty work.
Bell's done it again. He's led 130 laps here and counting. That was lap 131 now that he has been up front. So after starting on pole, Christopher Bell has been very strong here at Bristol, fighting back to get the lead. And want to take a look at the Toyota driver update as we talk about C-Bell. Laps led continuing to rack up as Larson had gotten by him, but now he has fought back and is back in front of the field as he tries to put Briscoe a lap down, going to the inside. He's got Harrison Burton just in front of him.
And this will be almost impossible. It allows the 5 to close back in, try to take that lead back. Here we look at the battle back in the pack. The 24 of Byron right there. Got a little break from Denny Hamlin off the corner. Denny checked up. There's the battle again at the top of the screen for the lead. The 20 trying to lap Briscoe, can't get it done. Larson running the top, just closing in ever so slightly with the momentum off the top of the racetrack. But Larson's car is moving around there a little bit loose off of turn 2. Balance of that 5 car maybe going away just slightly.
Different lines becoming prominent here as a lot were running at the bottom of the racetrack. Now everyone is starting to migrate up, run higher lines here in Bristol as we see Hamlin and Byron. Those two continue to fight for the 6th spot. Byron has lost it to Denny Hamlin, so Hamlin just in front of him.
Yeah, you see this battle with the 14 and the 21 trying to stay in the lead lap. Watch what happens in 3 and 4. The 21 of Harrison Burton, he wants to run the bottom. Christopher Bell hates that because that's taking the air off of him in 3 and 4. In 1 and 2, Harrison wants to run the top. So now he's got clean air. He makes a good run. He gets all the way next to the 14. This time Harrison goes to the top and gives Christopher Bell the bottom. That is exactly what Christopher wanted to see. He just wanted that clean air.
Got the clean air and have cleared those 2 drivers. Take another look at what happened.
Here's some contact. Goodness, that's pretty good. Good contact right there. Is Christopher trying to use all the racetrack there off of turn 2. Late in the run, old tires, cars are moving around quite a bit. Larson in a bit of a tough position right here.
You could hear Briscoe running the top or the middle of the racetrack. He was shocked when the spotter said outside. You know what I mean? He's like, how can somebody be on the outside of me? But you cannot give that 5-car Larson. You can't show him the outside because he will use every bit of it.
Coming up on 40 laps to go in stage 2. Dylan.
Getting a look at Carson Hocevar in the 42, making just his 4th start in the Cup Series, running 8th right now. Talked to Luke Lambert, his crew chief, asked him what does he do well. He said he's got a lot of raw talent, but he's been doing the other stuff in the shop, the other 6 days of the week that you have to do to be successful at this level. That's what's impressed him the most. Their goal tonight, just stay on the lead lap. They're well on their way to do that right now, running inside the top 10.
And rumors have it, Carson Hocevar could be running in the Cup Series next year in full time.
With no more experience than he has in the trucks, very limited experience in the Xfinity, hardly no experience driving Cup cars, he impresses the heck out of me. He overachieves and makes lap time in just about everything he drives. We know how challenging these cars are, how different they are from the trucks, from Xfinity. But he just gets in these cars, qualifies well, races well. Look at the racecraft. At Bristol, a track where bad racecraft shows up really early. This guy is doing a great job. Whoever hires him, whoever he goes, they're getting a winner. They're getting some guy that could be a future star in this sport.
Right now he's running up inside the top 10 in the 7th position. Larson still running 2nd. Take a look at this as he is very loose coming out of the turn. He's able to clear that 21 of Harrison Burton, but it's been Bell up front for 146 laps. He and Larson running 1 and 2. from the world of John Wick comes a Peacock original set in 1970s New York. Young Winston Scott takes on the world's most dangerous hotel in the Continental. The world of John Wick. The three-part event begins streaming September 22nd, only on Peacock. It's NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Bristol. The Bass Pro Shops night race with just 24 laps still to go in stage 2. It is Bell and Larson running 1 and 2, and you take a look at the drivers that are fighting to stay in the playoffs.
And this entire group, all 4 of these drivers, all pitted around lap 130. Harvick, the only one, he pitted at lap 110. But Logano, Truex, and Bubba Wallace, because they ran out stage 1, they had to come to pit road, and now they are chasing traffic the best they can to try and stay in front of the leader for Truex. And Harvick is just trying to nurse this thing to the end of the stage.
Let's dive in a little deeper. We'll go through the field, brought to you by eBay, and start with Joey Logano, Dave.
1 lap down now to the leaders. And remember what Paul Wolfe did last week to gain a 5th place finish at Kansas. He left Joey out on 2 tires on the final pit stop, and it gained them all kinds of position. They were running about 15th. He said, I may have to do that tonight. He's already done it by leaving him out for the whole stage 1, Marty.
Right now, Martin Truex Jr. Dave +3. How important was this race for Truex? Well, he went to the simulator this week, and if you know Martin Truex Jr., that's a pretty big deal. Probably the 2nd time in 3 or 4 years that he's actually been in the sim. That work helped create a pretty quick race car, and even though he's one of the cars about to go a lap down, Truex turned with some pretty quick lap times, but to quote him, Dave, traffic is annoying.
For Bubba Wallace right now, he's the first one out. He is -3 on the cut line. Booty Barker's crew chief told me this morning, we may have to go all out later on. We'll see how it plays out, but one thing we have to do is we have to be close to that 19 at the end of stage 2, Marty.
Dave, Kevin Harvick right now below the cut line said the car is better. Here's the problem for Harvick. He's about to maybe go 2 laps down to Christopher Bell. Just 1 car between him and Bell as of right now on the racetrack. And Harvick told me earlier today, this is a grind away race for us. He's going to have a workmanlike attitude for the rest of the race if Harvick wants to get into the next round.
Closing in on the final 15 laps of stage 2. Bell with a 2.5-second lead over Larson. Then Gibbs, a very impressive performance tonight, running in that 3rd spot. McDowell, a must-win situation, running in 4th.
There are moments in every race that kind of make or break your race. There's also moments in the playoffs. For the 19 of Truex, the bad moment was a week ago in a flat tire, but this may be the difference in his playoffs with 15 laps to go. Can he stay in front of the 20? The 20 is fighting hard because if he can put the 19, the 6, and the 23, he can eliminate some playoff guys, and, or at least off the lead lap in case he has an issue later.
See McDowell trying to get by the 11 of Hamlin. That's for 4th. Hocevar in the picture there in the 42.
Yeah, I'm getting real hungry if I'm Christopher Bell. I see that 8 car. He is a playoff guy. I see the 6 car. He is a playoff guy. I want to lap these guys big time.
Go. We need all these points. There's a real chance we can point our way in.
There you go.
There you have it.
Let's go.
So Christopher Bell in the 20. Now under 12 laps to go. Trying to put the 8 a lap down. Kyle Busch running 23rd. To the inside. Can he complete the pass? And yes, that's the 19. Martin Truex Jr. just in front.
The 16, though, of A.J. Allmendinger is a little bit slow right in front of Martin Truex Jr. That's going to slow down this 20 car. Break for Kyle Busch.
Yeah, the 8 had to check up as well there, and Bell slid right up behind the 8 of Busch. Now, we'll see if he dives back to the bottom of the racetrack, but he can't. He's got the 16 of Allmendinger down there. So now Bell goes back to the bottom. Laps winding down here in stage 2. That high line working for Kyle Busch. Bell can't get by him. Under 8 to go.
That car rolls so good through the middle of the corner. That 20 right around the bottom, able to wrap the exit of turn 4. Makes it dangerous running that bottom when your car is not handling well. It's hard to beat. the 20 when he can get around the bottom of the racetrack so well, right through this part of the racetrack right here. Bell very patient on the throttle, on corner exit, try not to spin the tires, try not to slip the back of the car. Kyle Busch driving for everything he's worth right here.
Kyle Busch has won so many races in this racetrack, been so good. You know, coming into this race, he wasn't thinking he was going to be battling just to stay on the lead lap.
Under 4 laps now to go from Bristol in this second stage. Bell continuing to get by that 8.
The 20 ran low down the back straightaway. I think he's just patiently waiting this stage out. Probably not running as hard as he can. Kyle Busch, on the other hand, trying to get everything he can out of the car. He's got a little bit of clean air in front of him, so he should be able to maintain himself on the lead lap here, Kim.
And that car is doing nothing that Kyle wants. He is still complaining. Way too loose in, really tight center, loose off. They thought they made the right changes from yesterday to today. Apparently not. They continue to work on that car. It is still not to Kyle's liking.
Pit road is closed, under 2 laps remaining in the stage. And Bell still can't complete the pass on the 8 of Kyle Busch. Final lap of stage 2. Christopher Bell won stage 1. Now looking to sweep the stages. And will he get by Busch? He does not, but he wins stage 2. C. Bell has won stage 1 and stage 2. It's the 3rd time that a driver has swept the Bristol stages, but none have gone on to win the race. And Bell trying to change that statistic as the remainder of the top 10 go across the start-finish line. What a day it has been, though, for second place, now 3rd actually, in that stage. Kyle Larson, he started all the way in the back with a terrible qualifying performance yesterday, has fought his way all the way up to 3rd. NBC Sports coverage of NASCAR on USA is brought to you by Sonic. $3.99 Bacon Peppercorn Ranch Grilled Cheeseburger for a limited time only at Sonic. Coke Zero Sugar. Is it the best Coke ever? And by Toyota. Let's go places. Stage 2 is complete, past the halfway point of this, the elimination race, the night race at Bristol. And now drivers getting ready to come onto pit road, and teams anticipating their warriors who have been battling on the high banks here. First car to get in front of you will be Dillon.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. currently 8 below the playoff cut lines, really struggling with the balance. Said we were loose in, plowing in the center, snappy loose off. They'll make some changes. Michael McDowell told by his crew chief, just keep fighting. We can point our way in. He asked for some air pressure adjustments to help his car turn. And Denny Hamlin, nice charge from 11th to 4th, free up top on the long run, but good on the bottom, Marty.
Dylan Kyle Larson said, I honestly did not do a good job of managing that run, but the car builds way too free the longer we run. We need more rear security. Because they ran 181 laps, Dave, they're going to hold them here for a little bit of fuel.
4 stage points for Chris Buescher, a little tight in the center, 4 Goodyear tires. 4 Goodyear tires for stage sweeper Christopher Bell. Will this be another good pit stop for the 20 team? Little bit long waiting there. Will he lose spots? Yes.
Looks like they're waiting on some fuel there, so Larson holding ground, but Bell losing 3 spots on pit road. Ty Gibbs first off the pit road. Hamlin grabbing 2 spots as well. Melty grilled cheese meet bacony burger with creamy peppercorn ranch. Sonic Bacon Peppercorn Ranch grilled cheeseburger with small fries or tots for $3.99 for a limited time only at Sonic. Stage 2 is complete. Advancing to the round of 12 on points, Denny Hamlin, one of the drivers, as well as William Byron. With the points that he has been able to gain and secure from this race, he will advance the round of 12 on points. And take a look at the points that were earned through the 2 stages. Bell sweeping the stages, gets the most points you can with 20. Larson and Gibbs, Byron, all getting 11, 10, 10. Impressive run for Corey LaJoie. Currently scored 14th. So you see the names in yellow. They are locked in and advancing to the next round.
Christopher Bell winning those 2 stages gives him 2 playoff points as well to carry forward. A little bit more of an advantage, helping him in the following round, as they performed perfectly so far this race.
And a shout out to Ty Gibbs right now, who is leading this race, and a very impressive run for Michael McDowell in a must-win situation. Dylan.
Yeah, it's been a good day, but so far it just hasn't been enough. And on that last run, they corded a right front, so it didn't change the balance of the race car too much, but that was a, what, 130 or so, 140 lap run. So if we get another one of those, just have to keep an eye on the McDowell car if that starts to rear its head again.
Yeah, something also, talking about this, you know, tires and potential issues. Every car is still on racetrack that started this. So if you have a problem, you are going to have a horrible finish. Bristol, typically we see a lot of cars have failures. So, and look, there's a lot of racing left to go. We might get that, but so far we have not.
241 laps remaining. And our crew chief Steve Letarte has said you can't go that far on fuel. Under about 180 laps is what they're thinking for fuel. As we get ready for the final stage, it's underway here at Bristol. Joe Gibbs Racing drivers fighting for the lead now. Ty Gibbs on the outside, Denny Hamlin on the inside.
Ty's going to run him tight down here through 3 and 4. Not allow Denny to get into the gas. Denny's going to have to give up the spot.
Busher and Larson fighting for that third spot, and around goes the 7 of LaJoie.
Up the track, into the, big contact. The
Newman
22.
gets him in the 51, and yes, Logano also involved. Big damage to the left rear.
Yep, there's something bent, broken on the left rear of that 22.
Talk to us. Left rear's down. Looks bent. Yeah, I got hit pretty hard in the left rear. Definitely down.
It is broke. Now, can they fix it?
LaJoie was running in 12th when that incident happened. Here we go.
So he gets in the back of the 43 car in the middle of the corner. Up on corner exit, he tries to go the inside, just gets loose, overcorrects up into the 43, turns himself around, now down the back straightaway, contact right there and up the track. Big, big hit by the 51. So he gets a little bit loose there, just turns right back up the racetrack.
Defending series champ, Joey Logano, now in jeopardy of not making it out of the round of 16. Started here with LaJoie. Down onto the apron, but then shot right back up the racetrack here, and that's where he collected the 22 and the 51.
Yeah, 31 also. He looked like he had beat damage on the left front.
That looks like more than a toe link to me, Steve.
Yeah, I think you're right. So by rule, you're only allowed to change the toe link on pit road. That's actually from this race a year ago where Blaney changed an entire lower and sat there for a long time. NASCAR said a little too dangerous, so it's toe link or nothing, and this looks like a lower control arm broken on the 22, Dave.
You can see, yeah, you hear the radio. You can see the body language from the crew. The radio to Joy was, it's done. I don't think you can punch a left rear suspension on one of these cars and have it walk away. So they're going to bring it behind the wall, take one more look at it, but the two-time champion, Joey Logano, may be done for these playoffs.
Well, he's done for sure, Dave. Once he goes behind the wall, he can't return. So this will be the end of the 22's day. And with no cars currently out of the race, Cindric 36 is 5 laps down. So in 5 laps from now, that'll have Logano being last. He may score it in front of Haley, who's also out of the race, a lap ahead of him. We'll have to see how the scoring works there, but he's going to finish 35th or 36th, but, which is still the same. It's only 1 point back there. So that's going to change the target. What I've been working on is, now that we've kind of awarded points for stage 1 and stage 2, this is almost like a new race. Everyone now knows how many spots you need to beat someone. As you see Logano +2 currently, he will continue to fall. He can lose another 2 points really. So now the target for Truex, Wallace, and Harvick could be much clearer in just a few more laps.
You know,
not easier, but clearer.
This 22 car, you can see the damage, night's over. But just not the year you expected from these guys, right? And even tonight, yes, he got into a wreck, but he was in a wreck because they were in the back of the field and he did not have the pace to stay in the lead lap. And it just has not been the year they wanted to have. I can guarantee you this team will go to work and they will be dangerous next year, because this is not going to be the year they wanted, but they won't quit working. These guys are grinders. They will use this as motivation to come out strong.
And there's more races to go in the 2023 season, even though the championship is no longer available, or possibly no longer available for Logano. Never before has the reigning champion been eliminated from the playoffs in the first round. And that could happen tonight.
When you look, 12th at Darlington, 5th at Kansas. We're going to focus on Bristol because this is where he got caught up in the accident, but you try to This is no different than the end of the regular season. I say it all the time. If it doesn't work at race 26, you need to look at the other 25 races. Well, I know it hasn't worked for Joey Logano here, the defending champ, but there were 2 other races, right? And Larson and Reddick got the wins. Hamlin and Byron had enough points. Now, you hate to see this, but everybody knows. And hey, you think this is bad? Just wait for 3 more weeks. We head to the Roval. It's not going to be any calmer than what we're seeing here.
And Logano, he tells it how it is. I'm sure what we're going to hear out of Logano when we do talk to him is, I shouldn't have been running there. I shouldn't have been that far back and get caught up in something like this.
Well, both of these guys right here, you know, Paul Wolf is crew chief. They are fierce competitors.
So this caution coming out for Corey LaJoie, catching the 22 of Logano and ending his night. He's behind the wall with possibility of finishing far down as 35th.
Coke Zero Sugar, as you cheer on your favorite member of the Coca-Cola racing family. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
And it's the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Bristol, the Bass Pro Shops night race. Austin Dillon bringing us back there, currently running in the 19th position in his Bass Pro Shops number 3.
He's got a couple things here with Gibbs running well. You got the 17 you see on the inside there. Buscher starting to show his hand here late in the race. Hocevar still hovering around the top 10, having a career night in that 42 car.
And now the field back in the hands of the 54 of Gibbs. Gibbs on the outside. Hamlin on the inside. Back to racing.
Great restart by Hamlin.
Almost some contact right there down the back straightaway. They're racing hard up front.
Gibbs able to clear the 11. And here comes the 5 of Larson into the picture once again.
There was some contact as well between the 34 car McDowell and the 20 of Christopher Bell off turn 4. They sorted out. Almost the same exact thing right here between McDowell and the 42. No contact though.
McDowell, it's such an impressive night already for the 34 team. Again, crew chief Travis Peterson, mentioned earlier their baby, Lillian Peterson, being born last week. Hocevar holding strong on the outside. At 6th spot. Still advantage Hocevar, but here comes the 34 making that inside line work. Bell, winner of stage 1 and 2, just in front of these two. How about Ty Gibbs out in front now? Half a second lead for the driver of the 54.
He had a really good car in practice, and he's had some great speed throughout the year at times, but just hasn't been able to put together complete races. But now that he has the lead, he's really in a great spot to just kind of get laps out of the way, stay out in control of this field, and possibly drive to his first win tonight, Dylan.
And that complete race is something that, as a rookie, is something that you just have to kind of learn with the more races that you do. Chris Gale, the crew chief, actually credited veteran spotter Tony Hirschman as a guiding voice and someone who can kind of help instill some confidence in Ty in those quick in-race instinctual decisions that you have to make. That's what separates the rookies from the veterans. Ty's learning those, but he's got some good voices in his ear helping to guide him as well.
That's exactly what he's missing, right? That sort of instinctual decision, quick decision making when you're back in 10th, 15th, grinding it out all night long. Sometimes you don't make the correct decisions, and that costs you the track position to be able to put yourself in the victory circle when you have a car that can win. Tonight he's been able to drive well, be smart, make the adjustments he needs to make, and now here he is. His team's put him out front.
219 laps still to go here in the night race in Bristol. You see the points on the left side of your screen. Logano 4 points down below that line, and the reason that's important is Logano has now settled into 34th. He's off the racetrack, and that's as far down as he's going to go.
It is. So let's start talking about who really is in trouble. The 4 of Kevin Harvick. He's -3 right here. Don't worry about the points to Logano. That's not an issue. The 4 of Kevin Harvick has to find some points on Truex. The issue is Kevin Harvick is a lap down. He's 28th. He can only gain 2 more spots. I'm sure a couple more cars will end up a lap down, but if Kevin Harvick really wants a chance to advance, a solid chance, he has got to find, as he gets a shot from Corey LaJoie, you know, he has got to find a free pass, a wave around, a lap somewhere in the next 216, and not go a second down. If the 4 of Harvick goes down a second lap, it is going to be just unbelievable for this 4 car. No one's respecting their Junior.
I know it. He's getting pushed around like a rookie out there. Riding around with Blaney right here. There was some contact back here, back in the field. Blaney falling back, not having the pace. He was in 18th, and now back to 23rd. He is struggling. We saw Logano struggling. Now Blaney is struggling as well.
Good thing he has going for him is as they're running, he's got a 23-point advantage over that 4 of Harvick.
Yeah, so he got in the wall right there. Truex got into him, Gilliland into it. Just hard racing to Bristol. Blaney trying to make something happen. He's right on board. Yeah, you know he's frustrated.
Blaney trying to make that high line work for him. We mentioned the woes for Kevin Harvick, trapped a lap down, running in 28th, Marty.
-3 below the cut line, as you can see on the left. Rick, Rodney Childers has told Harvick, hey, long way to go. Still 209 laps left here at Bristol tonight. The problem is the handling has not gotten better all weekend. Listen to Harvick on the radio.
There's no way we can adjust that toe in a little place like this and not lose a lap, so we're going to live with that part. That's what I was getting at earlier. That's why I was saying I don't think you're going to fix it because of the way. I mean, it's just dragging the thing around the corner. You can feel it.
Harvick said on the radio, Steve, he said, I can feel it dragging it through the corner from the quarter mark or half mark to the 3/4 mark of the corner, just chattering the tires. He said it did it lap 1 in practice. It's still doing it here in the race.
Rodney Childers talking about adjusting the toe. So we talk a lot about the toe link because that's normally the part that you damage. But that's also where you would adjust the toe. You would have to take the tire off, break the toe link, and change the length of it to point whichever tire they would like to change, right? So whether it's, and when they say toe, they mean the front tires aren't pointed exactly in the same direction. Regardless of how he steers them, they're either towed in, pointing out at each other a little bit, or toed out, pointing away from each other a little bit. You could do the same thing in the rear. So there's obviously either a front or a rear setting that Rodney thinks is the issue, but the size of track, even under yellow with the long pit road, you can't make that adjustment. If this was Pocono and you had a yellow, you could probably make that adjustment under yellow. Dylan, how about the defending champ out of the race?
Yeah, he's out of the care center. So how disappointing and frustrating is it to not be able to just fight this one all the way to the end?
Yeah, I mean, we just weren't fast enough. You know, you go down a lap, you're in the back at Bristol on a restart, and you're back in front of you, and you get caught up in stuff. It's, I mean, it's our own fault, if you ask me. We just didn't go fast enough today with our Mustang, and it was like that from when we unloaded. And there was signs of hope early in the race, and just really couldn't get a handle on it. So it'll take a miracle at this point. Maybe something will happen and we can squeak in somehow. But I'll just sit and watch anxiously and hope our Shell Penzo team can maybe get lucky at this point. So it's a bummer. I'll watch the race like everybody else now.
Yeah, he's not out of the playoffs officially yet, but it is out of his control.
So when he says get lucky, he came in 12 points above. We've put all the stage points in here. What does he mean? Well, he's currently only 4 out to the 19. The 19's running 20th. I mean, there are still 32 cars in this race, so there's 12 points available for the 19 to lose if he was to have an issue. The 23 as well of Bubba Wallace. He's only +4, and he's running 14th. So there are real opportunities for other cars to fall back and put the 22 back into the playoffs.
Yeah, they would have to have problems. So, like you had mentioned, you brought up Martin Truex Jr. running in 20th, Bubba Wallace running in 14th. If they back up that much, then yes, Logano could get lucky and get in.
Battle for the lead shaping up here as Ryan Blaney is desperately trying to stay on the lead lap. The 54 of Ty Gibbs is trying to put him a lap down, and right behind this 54, Denny Hamlin can't capitalize from second place to be able to take the lead. How quickly can the 54 clear Blaney? I think that's going to happen down here in 3 and 4, Jeff.
Yeah, Blaney just struggling. He's just not happy with his car. You can see right in the middle of the corner, the car just doesn't rotate, but I feel like he doesn't get in the corner great either. Like maybe a little bit loose on corner entry, but just no rotation with the front tires through the middle of the corner.
Now the opposite for the ones we discussed that could lose points, Ryan Blaney at +23, he's running 24th. So he can only lose about 8 more spots, really. So he's not in a position to go all the way back to Logano. That doesn't mean that Truex, Wallace, or even Kevin Harvick, if he can get it going, Stenhouse.
Kim.
And no specific issue for Ryan Blaney outside of what you guys just talked about. Absolutely no front turn on that car, but he does realize the backslide he's done in terms of track position. Here's what he asked his team.
We get on points, or should I be like really worried
about the point situation?
in by 22 at the moment? Okay.
So they gave Blaney some reassurance. Right now, Blaney running in the 24th position, Marty.
Kim, Steve said it might happen. It has now happened to Kevin Harvick. He is down 2 laps here at Bristol. Steve, there's a long way to go, but if you're Rodney Childers on top of the pit box, how do you save this? How do you get Kevin Harvick back in the game here and maybe into the next round?
The unfortunate part is I don't think advancing has anything to do with the 4 car at this point. I mean, he's 2 laps down at 29th. There's no chance Kevin Harvick's going to give up. I would have no concern of that. He's going to drive it for all it's worth, but unfortunately, it's worth a 29th position so far through the race. So what the 4 really needs is some help, and that's Joey Logano needs the same thing. He's just not making any more laps. He's sitting in the infield watching. The 4 of Kevin Harvick, he's out here riding around, but he's going to need a lot of help, even from some yellows or other issues of playoff drivers.
190 laps away from 4 drivers being eliminated from the playoffs. Right now it's Logano, Harvick, Stenhouse Jr., and McDowell. McDowell doing all he can, running in the top 10. Gibbs, though, leading here at Bristol. The official app of NASCAR Tracks has the latest race and event information from your favorite tracks. Search NASCAR Tracks in the App Store to download for free. You can start using tonight. Well, get ready. Turn heads in the 2024 Ford Mustang GT Premium Fastback with Performance Package. Scan the QR code now, or you can visit NASCAR.com/Ford Playoffs promo to enter for your chance to win.
It's a good little battle going on right here for second place. Denny Hamlin still maintains it. Larson hadn't gotten to the inside of the 11 for several laps. Denny ran him really tight. Didn't allow the 5 to finish the corner, so Denny keeps the spot. Larson back to the top of the racetrack. He's going to try to make another run at it.
That's the fight for second as Hamlin running that low line. Larson a little more comfortable up there near the wall. Suarez a lap down. Kyle Busch the next to go a lap down.
Yeah, Kyle's right in front of the 54 car. The leader, Ty Gibbs, as you see Denny now working around the 99 of Suarez. Sort of the lap traffic can present opportunity, but it also can kind of stabilize these battles as these drivers try to work through some of the cars that run the top of the racetrack.
And we're seeing which drivers are on the move, brought to you by Ashley Furniture. You see 33 spots. Larson starting in the very back, running up there in the 3rd position. So 33 points for Larson. Buescher 16, Stenhouse Jr. 13.
Yeah, Chris Buescher, watch him. You know, the race he won here last year, he kind of snuck around, just kind of quiet. Then late in the race, he got really fast, got the lead, and never gave it back. Dave.
Eric Jones is coming down pit road again, probably. He's staying on track right now, but he had a problem that sent him to pit road, changed 4 Goodyear tires, and then he told the crew, it's broken. Something broke in the right rear. And that's a shame because this non-playoff driver was having a great run after qualifying 31st. I asked crew chief Dave Ellens, what would be a good day? He said a top 15. Well, they were running in the top 10. They were having a great day. Now Jones with an issue on the 43.
And it's been a great 2-race stretch. 10th at Darlington and backed it up with the 3rd at Kansas. So that 43 car showing a little bit of pace here in the playoffs.
Yeah, Legacy Motor Club kind of had a bit of a resurgence here in the last couple of weeks. You obviously have Hocevar running in the top 10 as well. There's a 54 trying to battle to get around this number 8 of Kyle Busch. Going to be a little lap traffic here that's going to help Kyle Busch again.
Hard to pass that 8, but Ty Gibbs doing all he can, Dylan.
And something else, as somebody who is new to running at the front of these races like Ty Gibbs is, it's always a good reminder from the team to just tell you, we know these lap cars can be frustrating, but keep your head in it. We've got the best car out here. That was the message just a couple laps ago. Ty was getting a little agitated. The veteran voices we just talked about trying to calm him down and keep his head in the fight here with 165 to go.
$165 to go is
Closure, stay zoned in here, outside full.
over, when we talk about a 500 lap cup race, okay, 165 to go. Well, he's used to 300 lap Xfinity races, so 165 to go is over half of an Xfinity race.
Well, and this is what happens, Steve, when these guys aren't going to make it easy for you. When you're trying to win your first race, they don't care. They just know that they don't want you to pass them, and they're going to make you earn it.
Lap after lap, we're seeing Gibbs running right off that left rear edge of the 8 and so close. This time a little bit further ahead as he got to the door. We'll see if he can complete this. This is to put Kyle Busch a lap down.
That's a pretty good exit right there on the 8.
Yeah, he's got him now. I just don't think there's anything he can do at this point.
Use it, use it, use it, use it.
That means use all the racetrack. Come on up. You're clear. Good job by that 54 car. Being patient. A young driver often can make a mistake trying to battle a veteran like that and put him a lap down. It's Kyle Busch. You want to put him a lap down.
Well, and he's talked about it when, when Kyle Busch was at Joe Gibbs Racing, that was the guy. I mean, Ty looked up to Kyle Busch. I want to drive like him. I want to have his success. I want to win races like he can. And now you're lapping the guy. You're lapping your hero leading the race at Bristol.
And Steve, as we look at the big numbers here, 159 laps to go. They've been out on the racetrack. They came to pit road on 255, so coming up on 90 laps. What's the number? What's that magic number when you've got to bring them to pit road?
They could probably run a solid 80 or 90 more laps on fuel. The question is, will we get to a spot where tires just completely fall off? Larson had run 150 laps of green flag racing on his tires earlier, and they seem to be fine. And the 20 of Bell seem to be fine. So, I mean, laps are so quick here that you lose multiple laps pitting on the green. So unlike a 1.5-mile track where they come really early and short pit, while that's still an option here, the risk is much higher because you lose multiple laps. Marty.
Yes, Steve, and that's an interesting debate. You know, you and I were talking a moment ago, this tires that were taken off of Brad Keselowski's car, who's in 13th right now, on the last run. Matt McCall talked about that. They still had cords on the right front. So I got to wonder if crew chiefs are a little hesitant to push it as far as they possibly can on fuel. In fact, Martin Truex Jr., the next car about to go a lap down, he's in 19th. Radio to James Small just a moment ago said my tires are absolutely shot. So do you take that into consideration, Steve?
Well, the agenda matters. So you mentioned Brad. So you look over on the left, plus 46, right, in the 6th position. Well, you look where he's running. You say, oh, man, we're having a great day. We're running 13th. A blown tire up into the fence, you're going to finish 32nd versus pitting on the green to put new tires on. So that's why the answer isn't the same for every team. Matt McCall might have to say, man, I think we have a top 10 car, but discretion's going to win tonight. We're going to pit a little early, put new tires on, not because it's going to help our finish, but it's going to advance us into the playoffs versus the 19 who at plus 5, you know, I'm sure the tires are gone, and here comes the 54 to try to put the 19 a lap down, but he has no options at this point. You're in this situation. You have to continue to gamble and risk it.
Ty Gibbs, he's been out front 94 laps, and again, a reminder, has never won at the highest level of stock car racing, but leading the field here at Bristol. Denny Hamlin has taken the top spot away from Ty Gibbs. Now Gibbs falls back to second, and here comes Larson.
They're both all trying to lap the 19 of Truex, and I'm not sure if the Gibbs cars of Denny Hamlin and the 54 of Ty Gibbs are trying all that hard. Now, though, Denny to the inside of the 19. They see the 5 car Larson is here. They have to go. They have no choice but to put this teammate a lap down. Oh, the 19's wrecking.
Looks like he had a tire go down as he came off the turn. The caution has come out. And that was quick.
Yeah. I don't know if I think he made contact with the wall. I'm not sure if he just got loose there, Rick.
That came all the way around.
Now is, the situation now is he's the first car lap down. Was he the reason for the yellow? How will NASCAR manage that situation, Steve?
So the rule is at the time of the yellow, the car scored. The first car scored 1 lap down, gets the free pass, unless you are in or involved in the cautions. You see right here, he gets out of the gas. You see the pipes backfire. I'm not sure what that is. And we've heard from NASCAR, there'll be no free pass. So the car who was in position to receive it was the 19. You can't create the yellow, though, Marty, and receive the free pass.
And Martin Truex Jr. said on the radio, James Small said, everything okay in there? And he said, I think so. He said, I just got out of shape. So it was not a tire going down. And he did stay not on the lead lap, right? He's down 1 lap. Is that correct?
He's down a lap.
But the question is, how much damage is to the car? He hit the right rear pretty hard. And did it damage the race car?
It ain't got any better at all.
10-4. That was the only good response you can have there. Although I will say, James Small and Martin Truex Jr. have some of the most colorful radio in the series. But when I ask either of them about it, they don't. I mean, they literally look at me like, yeah, I mean, I guess. They really think it's totally okay, totally normal how they interact. So as long as they're comfortable with it and it's productive, and it has been productive this year, it was easy to second guess when they weren't winning, but now that they have moved on to winning, it seems to be working.
To your question, Jeff, is the right rear damaged? It looked like he hit it with the right rear quarter back on the tail piece. I'm not sure the tire actually made contact with the wall. I'd love to see another replay of the contact the 19 had with the fence, but I believe he might have really escaped extremely lucky there. Unlucky not to get the free pass, but
He'll be the first car scored a lap down, and to pit road, the leaders come. Denny Hamlin with Larson right behind him, and Gibbs running in that 3rd spot, Dylan.
Michael McDowell had been moving forward, said I was pretty decent right there, just going to make a small air pressure adjustment, 4 tires and fuel. Ty Gibbs got just a little bit too free on that run, another minor adjustment for him. Denny Hamlin called that run his best balance of the night, but he wants to be a little bit tighter just to make sure he can run the top, Marty.
Boy, Dylan, it's been such an impressive night for Kyle Larson. Started 36, remember, this evening. Dead last on the field, up in 2nd. He said the car just gets way too free. He said, I don't know what I can do to make it better. I'm trying to baby it as we run, but the car just way too free at the end of the run, Dave.
Chris Buescher looking good points-wise as they run, but needs a little bit of an adjustment. Didn't go anywhere on that run. As for Bubba Wallace, he is just barely above the cut line, giving up positions here as he comes to pit road. Needs Goodyear tires, needs some lateral grip. He actually got in the wall right as that caution was coming out. So a little bit of damage, but not too hard in the 23.
See the race off pit road, and Hamlin and Larson hold on to their positions. Buescher and Bell grabbing a couple spots off of pit road, but it was the 19 sliding up into the wall. The caution comes out. Restart happening next. Sunday in Foxborough, division rivals will battle as the Miami Dolphins face the New England Patriots. Coverage beginning at 7 p.m. Eastern with Football Night in America on NBC and Peacock. Under the lights at Bristol, and a great run for Michael McDowell with 133 laps to go. Dylan running up there in the 6th position.
And they've got to win. This was the pep talk that crew chief Travis Peterson just gave his driver.
All right, brother. It's all going to be on you. I just need you to dig deep. What I was telling you there is the only place you need to get better is driving deeper into 3. So I just need you to find a way to drive it in a little deeper and let that thing roll. She looks great when you lose less brake and let it roll. We can be the best car. We can win this yet.
And Travis told him, I know we've got the winning setup. We've got the winning setup from last year, but I need you full send from here on out all the way to the end.
Well, we know how the 11 and the 5 are going to race each other. They're up there in the front row, and Denny has raced aggressively against the 5 of Larson. So Larson said, well, okay, I know how he's going to race me. I can race him that way too.
Yeah, expect Denny to run the 5 tight on this first couple of corners on this restart. If they go into one side by side, Denny would love to get a launch and clear the 5, but if Larson is there, it'll be a tight little battle door to door.
You see Bubba Wallace. Bubba Wallace, he is starting in 11th spot right here. He's in pretty good shape to make this the next round.
Back underway, 131 to go. The
really
5 of
launch.
Larson, yeah, very good on the inside.
Denny just doesn't want to give him a lot of room here to be able to clear. Almost has it done down into turn 1 and 2. Should accelerate off of 2 and have it. Larson's still hanging around. Up the track is the 11, the 5. Right back to the inside.
Larson fighting back. Hamlin having to run that second line.
Larson rolls up. Almost to his door at the flag stand.
Good run for Denny Hamlin through that turn.
Oh.
And the 5 got loose.
Larson got a little tight off the bottom and almost got into the left rear quarter panel of the 11. Gets a little bit loose there, trying to correct the car. Denny back to the bottom to take away the air. Force the 5 out of the gas.
Here comes Bell looking to the outside of Buscher. See Bell nosing ahead now of Buscher. But here comes Chris Buscher on the inside again.
See Bell up the racetrack. Buscher rolls in on his left rear. 20 car accelerates off the corner, clears the 17. Everybody on the bottom of the track, except for Chase Elliott back in 7th place. He's moved up the racetrack, making a little bit of ground. Oh, some contact at the bottom of your screen between the 6 of Keselowski and Priest. See Bubba Wallace and his teammate Tyler Reddick side by side as well. Chase now to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get around McDowell in the 34.
Now is the time when teams are talking big picture. Bubba Wallace 4 points above the cut line. Dave.
Oh, Rick, Bubba's entry into the playoffs this year was dramatic. And we were on the edge just watching him get in. Now it's going to be the same way if he can transfer. Just 4 points to the good now. A car that needed some lateral grip as you see him race his teammate here, Marty.
Dave, that battle for the lead between Hamlin and Larson was fun to watch. You know what else was fun to watch? The battle for the free pass. 3 playoff drivers. Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, and Ryan Blaney duked it out right now. Truex is in that free pass position in 19th, and so far on the right side of the cut line.
119 go. Anyone who came to pit road under the last yellow, which is the majority of the field with a few exceptions, they can make it all the way to the end on fuel. Hopefully they can make it on tires. So if the 19 is fortunate enough to get a yellow and get back on the lead lap, that takes a lot of pressure off what he's trying to do in the playoffs.
And Steve, I think you went on record and made the comment, look out for this 19 team if they make it into the next round as far as potentially winning the championship.
I think if he advances from here, in my mind, as crazy as this sounds, I have him going all the way to Phoenix. I think nothing has gone right in this first round, and if they can survive it with this disaster of a round, he had a flat tire basically at the green flag last week, and if he can survive this after what they went through last year, missing the playoffs, grinding through that valley and coming out on the other side, winning the regular season championship. Marty, in my mind, the 19, I'm not going to call him the favorite, but he becomes a favorite to make the championship 4.
And see, the crazy part is that they would go into the round of 12 if they can make it as tied for the #1 seed. They get all those playoff points back. And what makes it even more impressive is what Martin Truex Jr. is doing tonight. He didn't talk about it this week, but in that wreck at Kansas, he hurt his wrist. He said it almost felt like when he broke his wrist in this race 10 years ago. He said it was almost that bad of an impact. Jeff, I can't imagine 500 laps at Bristol with a sprained wrist. Truex doing it right now and +5.
Yeah, it is the worst racetrack to have to come here and race with an injury. This was the wreck we saw early in the race. Drives in the corner, right rear tire goes down. Front of the car came and smacked the wall. The right front did, and that's when he injured his wrist.
Yeah, I was a part of a charity event that he held on Wednesday called Catwalk for a Cause, where they raise money for the Martin Truex Jr. Foundation, helping kids with cancer. And I went to shake his hand at the beginning of the event, and he said, really got to be gentle. It's hurt. It's hurt. It doesn't feel good. And I thought, man, that's pretty amazing that you can come out here and know that you're going to race 500 laps at Bristol with potentially a sprained wrist.
You and I could use the sling approach. You know, put your arm in a sling and nobody's going to shake your hand. But when you're a playoff driver or even a cup driver, you don't want to walk around with your arm in a sling explaining to everybody what's wrong.
Dylan.
See Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on the screen having a really nice night, battling with Brad Keselowski for the 10th spot. Ricky gets around here well. Crew Chief Mike Kelly reiterated that Ricky outperforms the car's capability a lot of times here. It's hard as the playoffs get deeper for a single car team to step up to that level that the multi-car teams do, but they're doing the best they can with what they've got, and they've had a nice day so far running in the front half of the playoff field, Kim.
Well, Dylan, for Kyle Busch in the 20th position, 1 lap down. This is not the race they wanted. Crew Chief Randall Burnett said the last 2 weeks has shown they can recover, but the goal is to not put ourselves behind in the first place. How have they put themselves behind here today? They did not set up the car to Kyle's liking. He has been complaining all night long. That last stop, he just said, we have to try something. I am going nowhere like this lap after lap. Very frustrated with that Chevrolet.
And he knows what he likes as far as the feel. 8 times he's been to victory lane here at Bristol. Kyle Busch, one of the playoff drivers, scored a lap down. He's in 20th behind Martin Truex Jr., a lap down, and Blaney is in 21st, also a lap down.
Battle for second on the racetrack right here between Larson and Christopher Bell. Christopher Bell dominated the first 2 stages, showing some pretty good speed here on this run. It'll close in on the back bumper of that 5 car as Larson fights through traffic. Denny's kind of drove away to a very comfortable lead in the second half.
And a lot of racing left to go, but Christopher Bell and this team, I know they want to win in the worst way, but if they can get through tonight and just have a clean night, have good speed and a clean night, that'll be a positive for them, Dave, because that has been their weakness, just executing and finishing races.
You think about the playoffs so far, 3 poles in a row, but the first 2 races have not been great, as you mentioned. So yes, that is part of the plan. And of course, he can't go just pushing and risking his car at this point. Running third, having led 186 laps and gained the stage points and the playoff points. They're in a great position right now, looking plus 52 to the line. But it's Bristol, and there's 100 laps to go.
Saw at the start of the show how the playoffs can be affected by accidents happening mistakes already. Joey Logano got caught up in an accident. He scored 34th out of this race. Harvick is 3 laps down right now. Chastain a lap down. Blaney, Busch, and Martin Truex Jr., all playoff drivers, scored a lap down. Hamlin and Larson running 1 and 2 here at Bristol. 97 laps to go. NASCAR Fan Rewards is free to join. You can earn points by watching the races, answering trivia, playing fantasy, and much more. Save your points. You can trade them in for free tickets and autographed merchandise, exclusive NASCAR gear. Visit NASCAR.com/fan-rewards. It's a NASCAR Cup Series playoffs from Bristol. Bass Pro Shop night race as Denny Hamlin continuing to lead. He has now eclipsed 14,000 laps that he has led in his career, and 56 of them have come here at Bristol tonight, and he continues to add to that number. Playoff drivers, we take a look at their night.
Christopher Bell wins stage 1, and coming to the end of that stage, Larson barely beats Truex by about a foot, taking a point away from Truex.
Christopher Bell wins stage 2, and right after that, the 7 car, Corey LaJoie gets in trouble here. Big crash on the back straightaway, taking out the 22 car of Logano. His race is done.
And Martin Truex Jr. comes off turn 4, gets loose. NASCAR thought it was going to be a big wreck through the caution. It actually helped Truex, that caution did.
Yeah, it allowed him to come to pit road and work on the car, and he's actually driving through the field up into the, racing with around the 10th place car right now. So they've really improved the handling on the 19. If he can get a yellow, might be able to get himself back into this race, but Denny has just put down Eric Almirola a lap down, so now Eric Almirola is in the free pass. Truex has got a long ways to go to be able to pass that 10 car, to be able to battle for that free pass. So that traps that 19 securely a lap down.
Well,
there he is on the other side of the racetrack.
Yeah, and Austin Dillon is just a little ways in front of Hamlin right now, so he could also go a lap down. That would pin the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. even further back.
The big wild card in this for me is the 6th place car of Michael McDowell. We haven't said a lot about him all night. We've reported in, you know, his crew chief was the engineer on Buescher last year when they won, and the 34 has been pretty good. We heard that motivational update about driving a little bit deeper into turn 3. And the reason I say all that is because it's easy to do the math, 1 point of position. Okay, Logano's in the garage, Truex is +5. But that's assuming we don't have a new winner. And the 34 by no means is he leading. He's 6.5 seconds back. But Dale, you just said it during commercial. I mean, he's run here all night long. This is not a fluke tire run for the 34. He has good speed. You never know, 78 to go. We've seen crazier things. Heck, last night, Allgaier he pitted with like 50 to go and drove from outside the top 10 to the win.
Yeah, I guess, you know, if this is, you know, the end of the playoffs for the 34-car team tonight, the one thing that we do need to mention is that them running in the top 10 is now a normal occurrence. This is no longer a surprise or an overachieving moment for this 34 team. This is what they have expected themselves, and now we expect of them. They're winners on this circuit throughout this year and consistently showing that they belong in the playoffs. They belong in the conversation.
Keep it up. We can do this.
How much better can they get? You know, there's still more room for improvement for this team.
Yeah, they've definitely raised the expectations of performance week in and week out after that win at Indy that got them into the playoffs. And now they've consistently run very well, but it will take a win for Michael McDowell to be able to advance out of this round into the next round. Blaney now has gone 2 laps down, Kim.
And Ryan Blaney, one of those drivers that's wearing the Dale Earnhardt Jr. inspired skeleton gloves. You see him right there. There are a number of drivers in the field wearing them, and it's a program these drivers wholeheartedly embrace because each pair gets signed by Dale and signed by the driver who wears them. They'll auction them off, and then they will use those funds to help the Dale and Amy Earnhardt Fund at Nationwide Children's Hospital. And the drivers I spoke with, including Blaney and Corey LaJoie, said, who wouldn't want to wear these gloves? Not only are they the most iconic gloves in motorsports, but it's for a great cause. So Dale, lots of enthusiasm for this program.
Yeah, I'm glad the drivers embrace it. We had over 60 drivers this week. So you go to Pristine Auctions, and that's where the auctions will take place, Pristine Auctions. So I'll sign them, the drivers will sign them. Even the race-winning gloves tonight will be signed and ready for the fans to bid. And they go to a great cause. All the drivers always very supportive of each other's charitable initiatives. It's so fun to see everyone wanting to help each other. That 42 car, Carson Hocevar, really using a lot of the racetrack up there.
With those gloves, I want to make it just a little easier. For more information, you can go to thedalejrfoundation.org, and that will give you all the information as far as those gloves.
I bought a pair last year. It was fun. Yeah. That bidding process. I kind of got mad. I don't know who was bidding against me. I think I bought a pair of Harrison's. I think my wife was bidding against me. We didn't talk about it. I suspect that's what happened.
That might be the funniest thing I've heard in quite some time.
I didn't think.
I can't believe you outbid Kim.
Yeah, I would have thought Kim.
So when you
won
say
that.
you won him, she won him and gave him to you?
No, I think we just didn't communicate well.
Good battle here for 9th place there between Hocevar and Keselowski as we get back to the front of the field. Denny Hamlin trying to put this 8 car a lap down.
Another one.
Yep. Kyle Busch just struggling, not able to really improve the handle of the car with each opportunity under caution. And he continuously finds himself being hounded by the leader of the race. He's trying to get by this 38 car. That's no fun. That's not that's not working for him on the bottom of the racetrack. So he's trapped there behind the 38 as the leader's right behind him. Dylan, what you got on the leader, Denny Hamlin?
Yeah, so a fun part about this race for Denny and crew chief Chris Gabehart is that they really didn't come in here and race for points. Chris Gabehart says this race to me is every bit as big of a marquee event as Daytona or the Southern 500, but a lot of times you can't enjoy that because you're stressed about points. They're not tonight. It's just enough to win. They talked about having a good enough car here. How sometimes that's not enough. You have to overcome adversity. They've done that tonight after that speeding penalty. They're They're back in front. Michael McDowell has also been really, really adaptable. He's had to work on his racing line. He's had to change it throughout the night. Crew Chief Travis Peterson said, you're one of the fastest cars on the racetrack right now. They just got to make up some more time and make up some track position if they want to get to the front of the field and win this race.
Levitt continues to battle with his 8.
But again, the 38 is Gilliland. He's the last car on the lead lap right now and running in that 16th spot. That's why he's making it really hard to pass him. Denny Hamlin hasn't been able to get by. As Gilliland goes up, Denny Hamlin goes down, and here comes Larson in the 5.
Gilliland wanted the top of the racetrack back. Feels like that's where he needs to run to keep his car going. Denny's going to have to work hard to pass him on the bottom, and that's going to create an opportunity for the 5 of Larson to go to the outside. Here he goes to the outside of the racetrack. Lots of cars in front. Look at all that traffic. Rows of cars for the leader to try to get around here. They'll try to work the bottom here, just like this 8 car of Kyle Busch is doing. That's the protocol. Follow that 8. Now we're 3 wide with the 5 car Larson. He's going to have to be careful, no contact there.
Gilliland running the middle of the track.
21 of Harrison Burton has a little issue with the steering rack in his car, so he's struggling with the car and the handle and the speed.
Dave, what's happening with the 23 team?
Well, he's running in 14th place, Rick, and he's not led a lap here tonight. But the key for Bubba Wallace may have come in stage 1. Remember, he finished 3rd. That gave him 8 points. Right now, he is +4 to the cut line right now as Michael Jordan looks on. His other co-owner, Denny Hamlin, is looking to lap him soon. Steve, I wonder if that matters. And also, you know how this works. This weekend, and earning those 8 stage points started the start of the weekend. He qualified 9th, and then he rode in the top 10 to get those points. It all begins there. But does that getting lapped matter?
Getting lap matters for sure, because right now, Wallace, being the last car in the lead lap, can't really lose any points. But once he goes down another lap, then there are 5 other positions that could pass him on the racetrack, and currently at +4, that would be enough to eliminate him. But Dave brings up a great point. The only reason he's in the green at all was that qualifying and that stage finish. 8 stage points. That's the difference for Bubba Wallace.
Denny making a lot of great time around the bottom of the racetrack, and if you watch, he's not right against the yellow line. They found some grip right in the middle of that treated racetrack. There's a lot of rubber buildup from the right side tires all night long, and now Denny is putting the left side tires in that rubber buildup and getting good turn with the left front tire. Really, really smart to be able to move around even in that little small area of the racetrack to find a little bit of additional grip and turn in the race car. You see where he's running? He's got the left sides right in the right side rubber that has been put down all night long, and it's actually found some great speed.
Reddick just has been put a lap down in that 45. One of Denny Hamlin's cars. And the other one's right there, the 23 of Bubba Wallace. Owner-driver Denny Hamlin has shown a lot of confidence since the playoffs have started. Running up front.
Still battling for 9th, to the bottom of your screen. Keselowski cannot get around this 42 of Hocevar. He's going to get right on his back bumper here. He kind of wants to tell him, hey, man, just let me go. Why are you holding me up? I'm trying to race into the playoffs here.
Yeah, Brad's smart enough not to get into him, right? It's just he doesn't want any problems tonight. He wants a clean race. He's going to race him hard, but I'd be shocked if Brad Keselowski made contact with him.
Coming up on 45 laps to go from Bristol, the elimination race for the playoffs. Now Bubba Wallace has just gone a lap down, running in the 14th position, so only 13 cars on the lead lap now. Denny Hamlin out in front. He has led 97 laps. Christopher Bell has led the most at 187. Ty Gibbs was up front for 102. But Denny Hamlin looking for another win in 2023 and an automatic bid into the next round, which he already has through points. Let's go through the field with playoff drivers. We'll start with Dylan.
And Denny hasn't won a race this round, but they've been close. And Chris Gabehart said that can leave a bitter taste in your mouth if you let it when you're performing at a high level and you can't get the results you want. We're not letting it do that to us. We're in a great spot mentally right now. They came here to Bristol not really having to worry about points and kind of having a night where they can just come out and race without the pressure of points racing. That weight being lifted off their shoulders is a big deal to them, and they're happy to try to finish it off with a win now, Marty.
Kyle Larson hoping to close this round the way he started this round, in victory lane. Remember, he won the Southern 500 at Darlington to advance to the round of 12. A round that Larson told me earlier this week he's a little bit worried about. He said, those tracks just do not suit me very well. I feel confident, though, if we can make it through the next round, we'll be a championship threat, Dave.
Christopher Bell has won here when it's covered with dirt. He's won of the Xfinity Series. If he wins tonight, he'd like to add that Cup Series win, but he doesn't have to. Looking good in the points category right now as they run. Dylan?
Michael McDowell runs in the 5th spot. He's been on the move, and adaptability and executing when the moment comes was the name of the game and the goal all night long for them. Michael's done his part, done exactly what he's needed to do. The car has been brought into the window as well. Now they're just trying to run down these 4 cars in front of them and win this race like they have to.
Let's look at the 24 of William Byron now. A solid run here keeps him in the points as they run as well. So Byron 65, he is the best other than the leader Denny Hamlin, and it's been a solid night. It's been a fast night, but it's been okay. Marty?
Dave Jr.'s right. Brad Keselowski's been the guy to watch in the second half of the race. Had about a 50-lap battle with Ricky Stenhouse Jr., then about a 40-lap battle with Carson Hocevar. Now trying to get another spot there from the 24 of William Byron, and who honestly had both RFK cars advancing to the round of 12. Looks like that's going to happen, Dylan.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. came into tonight with 7 straight finishes outside the top 20 at Bristol. He's on pace to do much better than that, running 11th right now. Even if they don't advance out of this next round, not all hope is lost. They're another team just happy to be in the playoffs. They've made 12th in points at the end of the year, their goal. So even if they don't make it, there's still plenty to race for, Dave.
Bubba Wallace's teammate Tyler Reddick is already in the playoffs. What a deal it would be to have both 23-11 cars in the playoffs going forward to the round of 12. He's got it now. He just needs to keep it together for 34 more laps, Kim.
Well, Dave, last year at Bristol, it was heartbreak for Reddick, who was eliminated in this race. Not the case this year. Locked himself into the next round with his win last week at Kansas. He told me it was such a relief to come here safe tonight. They felt like their night was going to be pretty easy, just haven't had their car they've needed, Marty.
Kim, Martin Truex Jr. trying to hang on to being 1 lap down. It has not been a pretty night for the 19 team, but right now on the right side of the cut line, and James Small told me this morning, Kim, listen, if we can get out of this round, I still feel like we're the team to beat in Phoenix. We can still win this championship.
Well, Marty, for Kyle Busch and that team, it has been perseverance for the first 2 races of this round. So I asked crew chief Brandon Renat what they needed to do here tonight. He said survival. It is absolutely a race of survival. We have to be there at the end. They're still in the race, running in the 20th position, but that car Kyle Busch does not like. And as we talk about cars that drivers don't like, Ryan Blaney in that same position. He has been complaining all night long. He absolutely cannot get that car to turn. The goal for this team was a top 10 finish here tonight. Right now they're running in the 21st position. Despite that, Marty, they still look solid to make it to the next round at plus 26 points.
Kim, much like Dave mentioned a moment ago with Bubba Wallace, I go back to stage 1 and the move Phil Surgeon made for Ross Chastain. They got 5 stage points, and it looks like Chastain will easily advance to the round of 12, but that certainly gave them a lot of breathing room. Those 5 stage points right now, plus 22 above the cut line. It has not been the night Kevin Harvick had hoped for at one of his favorite racetracks, Bristol Motor Speedway. Now down 5 laps for Harvick, saying to Rodney Childers a little while ago, the handling still the same as it was from the first lap of practice. And the problem, Rick, there is no path forward. Assuming no one else falls out of this race for Harvick to gain more spots, right now looks like he will be eliminated in this round, -4.
And another driver that was involved in the incident with Corey LaJoie earlier The 22 of Joey Logano. He is out of the race, scored in the 34th position, and currently just below the cut line, 4 points out unless something happens with one of these other playoff drivers. If they would fall out of the race, is the only chance Logano has of making it to the next round.
We're watching Bubba Wallace right here, and he is comfortably, right now, well, not comfortably, but he's sitting 4 points above the cut line. But he's got a few positions right behind him. One of them, luckily, is his teammate Reddick, but then Gilliland is right behind Reddick. Austin Dillon as well is within range, a straightaway of this 23. And oh, Bubba pushing it really high up there, up out of the groove. Let's listen to what this 23 team's talking about.
Just let him go. Just let him go. Just let him go.
That conversation right there was over racing with Larson. Just a few laps ago, there was contact between the 5 and the 23 on a couple occasions as Larson was trying to get around the 23 to be able to clear and move forward.
Well, and they wanted him to let him go because, you know, the 23 is good in 4 points, but one straightaway back and he's out of the playoffs. So if you get messing around with Larson enough, you know, he's going to just a little bump and you're out. Behind him, the 45, I think he's okay. 38, though, to your point, is right there.
We saw how stressful it was for Bubba Wallace just trying to make the playoffs. And now he's trying to make the next round and knows he's only a few laps away from being able to do that.
Yeah, so Reddick's no threat. He knows the situation. He's locked in. He's not going to do anything to jeopardize Bubba's opportunity to move forward.
Yeah, Reddick's car is probably going to get a little bit wider here as Gilliland, if he gets closer.
But Gilliland's also got to contend with the 20 car, Christopher Bell, who's in 3rd position, wanting to get through. So that's gonna occupy the 38 here for a moment. I think Bubba's fine, but I mean, he is right in front of the few positions that he needs to maintain, right? He's by no means in a very comfortable situation. Steve, how much would you share with your driver in this situation to let him know, like, do you tell him everything about how close he is to losing the few spots he needs to maintain?
No, I would have been very clear that we are not racing the 5 and you were to let him go, but that was it. I wouldn't put any more on the driver's plate. Tell him he's doing fine. This is a great position. 16 more laps. We're not racing the 20. If he gets to you, let him go. Let him know who we need to fight and who we do not. That would be the only information I'd be delivering to my driver.
Denny Hamlin going by the 43. He's done that before. Eric Jones scored 3 laps down. Coming up on the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., that'll put him 2 laps down.
And with 15 to go, that's not an issue if the yellow doesn't come out, but if he gets to 2 laps down and then the yellow comes out, there are more points to lose for him, and he's not, you know, rock solid in. +5 is okay, but he would much rather stay on this lap. But the 11 at this point, I think they worked well together earlier in the race. Now with pay windows open, Denny Hamlin wants to win a night race. He can't help Truex at this point.
Denny Hamlin, a 2-time winner here at Bristol. Looking for number 3. The unique trophy, the sword, for the winner of this night race in front of potentially Denny Hamlin. Under 12 laps to go. Denny Hamlin, such confidence, and it's been a weird season in the sense that Denny Hamlin has had success, but he's also one of the drivers that probably gets booed the loudest during driver introduction. And it's unique here at the racetrack because the drivers get to introduce themselves. And this is how Denny Hamlin introduced himself to the crowd here at Bristol. Didn't even say his name. You know, as he walked off the stage. But could this be a walk-off win for Denny Hamlin as now under 10 laps, 8 laps to go?
Well, I mean, the first 2 races he had winning performances that just didn't end up in victory lane. So good at Darlington that went away late, then bounced back at Kansas. little sleeping on the restart and got beat by Tyler Reddick, but in position to win both of those races. He's trying to finish off the potential with a win at Bristol, get a little momentum into that next round.
And there's a new confidence about Denny Hamlin. We've seen him in the playoffs so many years. We've watched every time he's gotten there. And you would think Denny Hamlin might be the favorite this year. He could do it this year, but he's just fallen a little bit short year after year. And that's what one thing that everybody looks at is Denny Hamlin is a 50-time winner in the Cup Series. He has put together an amazing career. He's won at Daytona. He's won the biggest races of the sport, just hasn't found that championship. But this year, there's something different about Denny Hamlin. There's a confidence about him. He knows that he could go out and win this championship if he continues to put races together like he has already in this first round.
Larson had a little bit of trouble right there. Larson back in second place, gets into the fence off turn 4. Recovered, though, to be able to get going again.
So Denny Hamlin up front, coming up on 2 to go. Martin Truex Jr. currently running 19th, and again, 2 laps down. But Martin Truex Jr. 5 points above the cut line. Bubba Wallace 4 points above the cut line. And again, Joey Logano out of the race, watching to see if anyone else will fall out of the race. Under 2 to go for Denny Hamlin. Now through 3 and 4. And this time by, it's 1 lap to go. Presented by Credit One Bank. Denny Hamlin, the 42-year-old from Chesterfield, Virginia, has put together an amazing race. He's led 142 laps, and he wins the night race at Bristol. '51 career wins for Denny Hamlin. Bubba Wallace, with his finish,
Thank you.
will advance to the round of 12, as does Martin Truex Jr. 2 former champions in Joey Logano and Kevin Harvick eliminated from the round of 12. The other drivers that will be eliminated, the bottom 4 in points, including the 47 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and the 34 of Michael McDowell. McDowell with a 6th place finish tonight. Just couldn't get up front. Knew coming in it was a must-win situation. Harvick ending this race 5 laps down. Celebration beginning now for Denny Hamlin.
For the love of the game, it is the Bristol night race. Yes!
This checkered flag moment brought to you by Advance Auto Parts. There's been a lot of them in his career. Off and on start to the evening with rain in the area. Not sure a lot of people thought this one would go the distance, but it did, and Denny Hamlin put on a heck of a performance in the last great Coliseum. Kevin Harvick out of the car, his final season of Cup racing, and he will not advance to the round of 12. McDowell, same scenario. Doesn't advance. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. won the Daytona 500 and now eliminated out of the first round. Joe Gibbs Racing, 207 career wins. And again, 51 of those accounted for by the driver of the 11, Denny Hamlin. Helmet has come off. He's climbing out of the car, Marty.
Over 100,000 people here at Bristol Motor Speedway tonight. And Denny Hamlin gets out to very mixed reviews. A lot of boos and some cheers in there as well. What a dominant round for the 11 team. Had the best car at Darlington, didn't win there. Second at Kansas, and he winds up winning the Bristol night race, another crown jewel. I think you're starting to like this with the fans, a little banter you have going back and forth, do you?
Oh man, it's everybody likes a winner, right? So it's can't thank this whole FedEx team enough. Just, you know, they really kicked ass this whole first round. Just amazing how good our team has been. Just so happy about the way we're running, and man, can't wait to keep going.
You've made many championship 4 runs, Denny. Is something different with the 11 team this year, though?
It's our year. I just feel like we've got it all put together. We got the speed, every single type of racetrack, and you know, nothing to stop us at this point.
So are these fans motivation for you? There's a lot of boos out there.
Hey, I beat your favorite driver.
And who would that be?
All of them.
Denny Hamlin did beat them all tonight, Rick. Win number 51 in his career for Hamlin, and obviously goes into the round of 12 with a ton of momentum.
He brings up a great point. Every time somebody wins, he's going to beat everybody else's favorite driver. So obviously, Denny Hamlin, he made a few of the Chase Elliott fans probably a little mad there.
Well, you said confidence earlier. I really think it's just comfort. I think there's a part of Denny now just becoming more vocal. He's on his podcast. He's making news. He's doing all these things, and he's very comfortable with the boos. I think that says a lot about where he is in his career.
What a great venue. As Thunder Valley roared the boos for the winner here tonight. It was Denny Hamlin. He wasn't the one who led the most laps, but he led the most important, the last one. 142 out front. Denny Hamlin gets his 3rd win of the season, and now advancing with more momentum to the next round of the playoffs. The NASCAR America Post-Race Show, presented by Progressive. And again, a reminder, post-race coverage is now also available streaming on Peacock. What a show. We saw Christopher Bell dominate stage 1 and 2, but it was Denny Hamlin who was able to get the win tonight. As you look at the playoff standings, now whittled down to 12. William Byron and Martin Truex Jr. Once you reset, they all have 3,000 points. You add the playoff points to that, and those two are tops of the board again.
Yeah, so now the question is, what have these drivers learned from round 1? Whether it's Martin Truex Jr. having bad luck or bad decisions, Denny Hamlin winning. We saw Larson win, Reddick win. But how about Bubba Wallace, right? Right out of the frying pan into it again. He's now down at 12th and has to go do this all over again.
Dave, don't tell him that we've got him at the bottom of the list. Congratulate him on his performance.
I think at this point, Rick, he's run out of people involved in his life to hug and scream with. This is a good thing. You've made it to the next round, but you finished 14th and did it. Describe your night. It looked like that last run there was pretty tough.
Yeah, it was. God, I love that shit right there. Counted us out. Like Coco Gauff said, all they're doing is adding fuel to the fire. I love it. I love where I'm at in this team. Wish Mom and Dad and my sister were here to celebrate with me. Man, a career year. Just got to keep it going. Appreciate all the partners involved. Columbia's done great when they're on the car. I hated for them last week, but I'm mentally exhausted. I'm wore out. Gave it our all there. Battled hard and executed, and that's what you got to do. So we know next week's a reset, and we just got to go out and have some fun and work our asses off. But thank you to the ones that believe in me. Keep it going, and yeah, on to next week.
Wondering about that challenge. You had a little tussle with Kyle Larson there, a little tussle with the wall, and it's Bristol.
Yeah, I'm running my own race, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure he thought he can go catch the 11. That's a tall task, but what I had on the line I thought was more important, and what he had on the line he thought was more important. It's Bristol, it's racing. All good. We'll go on to Texas and have some fun.
Celebrate, but reset.
That's right. Thanks.
Here we go. Throw it down, throw it down.
All right, drivers. Bubba Wallace advances, talks about being mentally, spent. That's been kind of the thing for Bubba. He fights mentally to have the momentum and the confidence to do what he's doing.
Well, he's just experienced the first round of the playoffs. Now take that information, take what you've learned and how to battle through that first round and use that in the second round. Use that little bit of experience you got to try to continue your playoff run. They've got a great team. They've got great speed at times. You can see these other drivers potentially making mistakes around you. Don't be one of those guys. Don't be one of the drivers that takes yourself out of it. But yeah, I mean, when you go through that first round of the playoffs and realize just how pressure-packed it is, you get done with that first round and you are worn out, you are mentally drained, but you do now have that experience to look back on and say, all right, I know what I'm up against going into round two.
And he, just like every driver, is trying to look at the strengths and the weaknesses of his team and of himself. How can I be better? What does my team need to be better? And what motivation? Can we get some outside motivation? We just saw from Denny Hamlin. Like he embraced that moment with Marty on the front straightaway. Like, bring it on, guys. You don't like me? I don't care. Like, he embraced that. And whatever it takes to help you emotionally move on through this grueling playoff, you have to take advantage of it and you have to use it.
Well, the emotions are probably out of the four now of Kevin Harvick. Dave is with him. He's out of the playoffs.
Kevin Harvick hops out of the car now, and I know this is not the way you wanted your final Bristol race to end. What was going on with the car tonight, Kevin?
I mean, we've been like that all year, and we've been hit or miss, and tonight we just missed by a mile.
Your thoughts on your final race at Bristol, not being a good one, but you got to see this place one last time, one of your favorite tracks.
Yeah, I mean, I've had some good days and bad days, but that's definitely the worst one I've had with fenders on it.
And coming out of here, missing the playoffs now, not advancing to the next round, Kevin, what are your thoughts?
I didn't really have many expectations, with as up and down as the year has been, so it is what it is. That's probably about what we deserve.
All right, Kevin out of the playoffs now. Got a lot of love from the fans this weekend, but unfortunately doesn't advance.
Michael McDowell finishes 6th tonight. Unfortunately, it's not going to be enough to make the next round of the playoffs, but man, you guys ran up front all night, and a year ago, I think a run like this would have been something to celebrate, but tonight it's not enough. But what does it say about where this team's at right now?
Yeah, tonight it wasn't enough. We were in a must-win situation, but still really proud of everybody at Front Row Motorsports. We had a fast shop stop Ford Mustang. Not quite enough to run with those top 2 or 3 guys, but pretty good. So, those first 2 races just killed us. There's, just put us so far behind. But, this is a learning experience. It's a young group. We didn't do what we wanted to do here in these playoffs, but I think we showed speed. We showed that we could do it. So we'll learn from this. We'll get ready for, next year, but still have a lot to fight for this year too. So, not the run we needed to have tonight, but still, a good performance. Really proud of everybody.
Really, really strong run for Michael McDowell. It's his best Bristol finish, and they'll still fight for the rest of the year.
An elimination race is always emotion-packed, and it didn't disappoint tonight. Denny Hamlin wins. The boos rang down. Bubba Wallace advances, and he will also be fighting for a championship. NASCAR America Post Race is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Save when you bundle auto, home, or motorcycle insurance. Visit progressive.com.